It's the cheapest opportunity to see Santa legally in the United Kingdom. If you've been telling people to avoid strangers, do not bring them to me. Okay? Because I'm like, Santa is very scary to kids who fear strangers. They're not Christians because you're told, welcome strangers, be hospitable. Okay? If you're telling kids, be wary of them, run away from strangers, no hospitality there. Swimming pool had a window, and so like everybody in the swimming pool could look in and you could look out. Right? You were a victim of that situation. Like, these are all things that other people have gotten on stage and told me about for 10 minutes.
So they've got on stage, happened to them, they're bitching.
For having a hotel room that I could literally walk out into the pool and I could have closed my blinds and never had any of the situation that I did. But I suffered through having to wear a robe in my room.
Oh no!
Because people could see in.
Oh, how?
They wanted the view of this pool.
Weren't
you watching them? Like, aren't you the people watcher here?
Yes, true.
Like,
they are
and
watching.
If you're
also
inviting them to see you, then you're an exhibitionist. But even they sell frozen food.
Yeah.
Right? Like, frozen food is posh to everybody.
Is it?
Yeah, I think it's very posh. You know, if you can afford
just to
have food that you won't eat or can't or not going to eat right now.
Yeah,
that's posh.
Hello, Internet. You're listening to the In Your House Comedy Podcast with the Babyface and his fellow funny friend. Now hold on to your butts. Keep your arms and legs inside the podcast at all times. Prepare to have an autographical orgasm in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome everybody to another episode of the In Your House Comedian Podcast. The show where myself, Cradley Hinken, sits down with one of my fellow funny friends from around the comedy circuit to talk about absolutely anything we want to. I am joined right now by the man that America forgot, the poster boy for why immigration is a good thing. He looks like Santa who's just started getting in shape but isn't happy about it. Calm down, Mrs. Claus. He is Mr. Americano himself. Please welcome to the podcast, Mr. John Parman.
Hey, KD, how you doing, man?
I'm good, man. How are you doing?
I'm really good. I'm glad to be in Yardley. Haven't been here in a while.
Yeah.
I used to work in Small Heath.
Oh, I didn't know that.
The only American in Small Heath. They were telling everybody it was a no-go zone, but it's nice, man. You know, I love walking down the street, driving up here, seeing kids on their roller skates, just shooting around. It's a laid-back place, Small Heath, for sure. Check it out.
That's the poison thing to see coming around here with people on rollerblades. But everywhere gets a bad name.
Everywhere. I mean, I live in Dudley. And, I think Dudley, is that the place you guys make fun of in Small Heath?
Well, that's the place we make fun of in Birmingham.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. So
that's the place where people do that accent for Birmingham. We're like, well, hold on. That's not Birmingham.
Yeah.
Get it right.
Yeah.
That's Dudley.
Yeah.
The Black Country.
Right. Do you call it Brum or do you call it Birmingham?
Birmingham.
Birmingham.
My shithole that I love.
Yeah.
Depends what mood I'm in.
Everybody's got every place in the whole world has another place that they just shit on all the time.
Oh, of course.
You know, and you can't help it.
Yeah.
You know, in Oakland they have Fremont. So I'm from Berkeley, and they have Oakland.
Right.
And Piedmont has Oakland, and San Francisco has Daly City. All these places have another place that they decided not good enough.
Yeah. And then as a collective as well, America has Canada.
Yeah, Canada. Well, they have what they do is they pick a place in America. Like they had this thing in 2000s. They had this thing, the armpit of America. Right? And they found this town that they decided in Nevada called Battle Mountain.
Right.
Battle Mountain, Nevada, the armpit of America. And it's in the middle of nowhere in Nevada. It's named after the guy who bought the land and developed the town. He was like, how do I get people to come to my town? I know what. I'll tell people there was a battle on the mountain nearby, and then they'll want to go there. And that's
a good idea.
He created this whole story about this battle that was fought between U.S. cavalry and Indians. And it turned out to be, it's totally untrue. Completely untrue.
I love that.
And,
that's great.
Yeah, I mean, but American ingenuity. It's like the Hollywood sign. You know, the Hollywood sign It was Hollywood land.
Yeah, I tell people that all the time and they don't
Yeah.
believe me.
Yeah, exactly.
They're like, no, it's not.
No.
They're like, what?
True story.
Thank you.
Exactly.
American confirmed it.
KD, he knows. And
I appreciate that.
The 4 letters fell off, and people, oh, Hollywood, it sounds so romantic. It must have been here for years. No, it was like a guy just thought, I'm going to sell some land, and he did.
Oh, is that why he was there? Because I never knew the story why it was there to begin with.
Yeah, they had like all these places in America that were developed by like one person or a company, and we're going to call it Hollywood. Like they had New York City, and then after World War II, they were like, you got to get out of the city because there are black people here or whatever, right? And so they were going to create towns that are just white people. So they had Levittown in Long Island. It was like supposed to be, the idea was whites only. And they had Oregon. I went to college in Oregon, and they had White City.
Wow.
Yeah, they just like laid it out, and it's very
not
racist.
when you was in college, I'm guessing.
This is when I was in college. I didn't.
Oh wow,
go to
so
White,
it's still a thing.
I was in Ashland, but they had basically places that they'd created in the 1950s. That's what you will never. You'll never encounter a black person here. You'll never encounter. And
wow, that's crazy.
Of course, desegregation was amazing. It's helped so many people to live the American dream.
Whoa.
Like in my hometown, Berkeley, California, they restricted black people, Hispanic people, Asian people getting mortgages, and they created this thing called the Red Line.
Okay.
So you had a part of the city that was for them, and a part of the city was for white people. And
wow.
And it was crazy. It's, all these things. You think California is a very progressive place. Reality is that, only in the last 50 years has anything changed. It's great to see like Kamala Harris, all these, whatever you're going to say about people running. It's great that we are in such a place in America that anyone can be unafraid to run for president.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Even in an undemocratic way.
Yeah, but even like
you can still do it.
You think of millionaires, like millionaires running for office in America. The truth is, there haven't been many millionaires who run for office.
We had a billionaire.
You had a billionaire.
Prime minister here.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. You had people who were legitimately rich and thinking, "Oh, I'm going to be prime minister." But in America, only recently have of people, they've backed them, like Lyndon Johnson, all these guys, Truman, Eisenhower, well, maybe not Eisenhower, but like even Clinton, they had no certainty in life. It was only their own work that got them, they got into office. They, Lyndon Johnson was a teacher.
I didn't know that.
A school teacher.
I thought a lot of them were career politicians in general.
Lyndon Johnson, he's taught in a school where they were teaching in Spanish and English in the 19-teens, and they had a job interview. His first job interview, they asked him, okay, look, there are some people who believe that we all came from monkeys. And then there are people who obviously believe in what the Bible tells us. And he actually said to them, I could teach it both ways.
Yeah, of course.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he just got on with it.
Yeah.
And then he became, JFK decided that he was the most powerful senator.
Well, that didn't last long.
Yeah, JFK did not last long. A lot of
don't
people,
go against the government.
I lived in Washington D.C.
Oh wow!
There for 5 years, and
see, I'm a big wrestling fan. I've seen so much of these American states and that. Yeah, I like it.
A lot of the older people I met there had come to D.C. when Kennedy was president because they thought this is it. We have achieved this absolutely amazing person who's going to extend all of our hopes and dreams.
And
they had the I Have a Dream speech, Martin Luther King. There were all these things happening, voter rights, all this stuff. And then King tried to get all the poor people, regardless of race, color, creed, everything, to come together and do something. They're like, we have Kennedy, we have Johnson, now we can really change everything. And here we are in 2024.
Sadly, the same thing happened to each of them people that you said, though. The same thing happened. Well, I don't know. Did Johnson get assassinated?
Johnson, no, he died. He died. He decided not to run for president again. He was. They went through the entire nomination process.
Right.
They decided that he was going to be kind of the nominee, and then he went on television and he said, "I will not accept, nor will I seek the nomination for the presidency of the United States of America."
Oh.
and then basically set the stage for Nixon to become president of the United States.
Oh.
There was no other primary. There was nobody else who was like ready to run and say, I'll seize Johnson's legacy and I'll continue it. Nobody did that at all.
Yeah.
And we had Nixon, and he bombed Cambodia. You know, it's crazy.
Watergate.
It's absolutely crazy. Yeah. I mean, I find it so strange, like, that we live in the residue of that. We live in the residue of all these decisions. We were on the cusp, you know, and it was very, to me now, I think Kamala Harris is running for president. I have nothing against Kamala Harris, and I voted for Kamala Harris to be president of the United States, but I do not personally think that there is any politician from any party who's actually brave enough to support poor people for real in America.
Yeah.
You know?
And anywhere it seems to be like, because I suppose it comes down to how do you support poor people, and then what does that mean?
You know, I was driving.
You need
here.
to change the prices of things. Like, that's a huge way.
I was driving here and I saw 3 people asking for money on the street. Right,
Not
3
surprising.
people. That's good.
Yeah, that would just be at the top of the road. And it's not as many because there's Sunday. Even hobos take a Sunday off. You know.
Yeah, right. Yeah, but
Can you get to Orange?
my hometown, like, everywhere you went, that was completely normal, and we had like neighborhood homeless people who you saw every single day.
Yeah,
and they
you get used to them. You kind of
get
know
used to
them.
and then you go to another town, and like I was helping my mom show houses. She's an estate agent. I helped her show a house, and I hear this voice, and I'm like, I know exactly who that is. It's the lady who asks for money in my neighborhood. You know, she's like, she every day, all she would say is, spare any change, spare any change, you know. And I talked to her. I said hello. I was, you know, good to see you. I give you money, right?
Yeah.
And
good to see he's going to use.
yeah, she kind of looks out for people, and she's making $500 a week. Wow, you know, and you think, okay, that's a good job.
Yeah.
You know, you can afford your rent. You can, you know, she had a caravan, you know, good for you. Congratulations. You found a nice, and I do not begrudge any way it's legal. Like, this is the saddest thing about America now. Like, you have a Supreme Court that Donald Trump kind of cemented in. It's going to be like that for another 30 years, I think.
Really?
Yeah, because you can be in the Supreme Court for life. There's no term limit. When you quit, you're quitting. There's no going back. You can't run for it. The Senate.
There's not many in there, is there?
Yeah, only 12 people.
12.
You know, and you think, okay, we're here. We have unlimited power. What's the thing they do this year? They banned homelessness in America.
I have heard this, actually. They have made homelessness criminalized.
My family's half Norwegian and half Irish. Okay, and in Norway they have this landmannsrat, which is basically the right. If there's like a piece of land that it's not fenced over, it's not covered, whatever it is, you can go and set up a tent and you can just be there.
That's kind of how it should be, really.
Right. Yeah. And in Istanbul, in Turkey, if you build a house and it can stand on its own for 36 hours, you can live there.
Wow. That's really cool.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
You know? We'd solve a lot of housing issues if you could build a house that could last for 36 hours. Right?
Yeah. It's like a Mr. Beast episode. As long as it can last for 36 hours, you can have it.
Absolutely. And so I think, look, there are legitimate solutions to homelessness. We're just not really giving people the chance of building house in 36 hours.
Yeah.
Like, I think you could probably, I feel that, you know,
Good.
There's enough help available for anyone to build a house in 36 hours.
Just so you know, anytime I'm looking at my phone, I just make notes for time codes.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. I mean, everyone should think about how are they capable of building something that could last for 36 hours and, you know, keep them reasonably safe and happy. Like, nobody's attacking you. They're not going to rob a house that's 12 hours old, right? You know?
Well, if you look at it and it's falling apart, like, you know, it's standing up, it's good. but it doesn't look great. You'd like to think you wouldn't go after it.
I feel like, did you ever build a shelter in the woods?
Oh, hell yeah.
Hell yeah,
course,
definitely. You're like, hey, look at all these sticks I can use. Leaves, branches with leaves on them.
We legit built a boat.
Yeah, exactly. Build a base, and
boat.
And boat.
We built a boat.
Yeah, well, that's amazing.
Yeah, and the
above and beyond.
the construction yard things that they have, like in case they fall down. We got like a load of them because they had a load spare, and then we put them together because they have like clips on them, like the clips you always see everywhere. Put them together and then put a load of wood on top and just went down the canal on it.
Wow.
It was great.
That's amazing.
We had a photo took by one of the people on the in the back garden to go onto the canal, and it was in the metro. It was a free paper.
That's incredible.
It was
That's
great.
incredible. I mean, the gumption to build a boat. I mean,
Stone ingenuity. That's all it was.
If you went to Istanbul and built a boat, would that count as a house? Would you have a
Surely.
houseboat?
Surely.
Yeah, I think so. I think you'd
I could never live on it, but surely. But you were, as you were saying before, though. Sorry.
Yeah, I'll build my own barge. So you build a hut in the woods.
Yeah.
The most fun thing I always thought as a kid was when you're wandering through a place and you find somebody else's hut.
Yeah, I know
It's like,
exactly.
there's nothing in there. It's like, cool, I can go and
Yeah.
I'm going to sit in here. It's just like, it's great to find that thing. Or like you think of a trail, you find it in my hometown. It's a hill. It's like it's like flat and then a hill, and like the hill is covered with staircases. So they were like, we don't trust people going up a hill.
Yes.
So we need to like make it step by step by step by step by step. And, so that's what they did.
Yeah.
Staircases everywhere. And I don't know. You don't find a lot of staircases in the woods here.
Yeah, funny enough, you don't,
Yeah.
I didn't know you meant like in the woods. I thought you meant it was like a hill. I imagined like, just roads and that. And then there was like a little patch with like a big hill or something.
Yeah. So they might have like here, they might have the wood kind of things filled in with dirt as a stair sometimes.
Yeah.
That kind of
Sometimes.
railway sleeper, right?
Yeah.
You go up the railway sleepers and you're at the top of the hill. You need a little more, all that. Now, no, it's concrete, brick, cement, real steps, and a railing,
Yeah.
Because of course you can't injure yourself when you go up a flight of stairs.
Oh, I get you.
Yeah.
Give me a
The
second.
worst
You can.
injury is going down a flight of stairs. I think.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You can fall up a flight of stairs. It's
You
good luck,
can.
apparently.
Yeah. When you fall up, I
Yeah. It's
catch the shoe.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
only good luck because you're not falling down the steps.
Right.
Like going under a sign is bad luck, apparently.
Mhm.
But that only came from the sign falling down on people.
Mhm.
And ladder, same thing.
Ladder. Yes. Ladders are very dangerous. Very dangerous. Yeah.
But yeah,
I would.
exceptionally.
I almost try to avoid being on a ladder. Like I actually took a training. They have a ladder safety training. Have you done that?
No.
Yeah. See, this is the thing. Like I did. I was very curious as a kid. Like, what did I want to do? And I just carried that on. I've had 26 jobs in 14 years, which I think actually is an accomplishment.
Yeah.
I think anyone who is
Well,
that curious,
it
should be rewarded with like, and I'm sure I've been fired from many jobs.
I was about to say, it depends how many of them jobs you've been fired from.
Quit jobs.
Yeah.
Places have closed on me. They've ran out of money.
How about that?
That was the Small Heath job
Oh,
I had here with a nursing company.
wow.
And
You
yeah,
wouldn't
they
think
hired
that-
me to they were like, you're going to build up this nursing company, Santa. And I was like, well, I only deliver one day of the year,
Yeah.
And
Somebody get that union.
It was during lockdown. There was nothing there. They were like, oh, you can get breakfast on the street. I'm like, no, that was literally, that meant you could go to this mini mall, this mini store and buy cereal and milk,
Breakfast?
because everything was closed. Everything was absolutely closed. And
So I was going to ask that if you were here during COVID.
yeah, I was here. I've been here since 2010.
Oh, wow.
I
I know I'd known you like from when I started comedy. I'd seen you about, so.
I came for the first time, so in college, or I should say, when my voice broke at the age of 12.
Wow.
Or 13. I was 13.
you
My age
testosterone-
broke. People went, whoa, you have a deep voice.
You
know, hello.
testosterone filled man.
Yeah,
Wow.
testosterone filled man. And
Actually, my
black hair.
My
and
son is the same age, and his voice has just started breaking.
there you go,
It's
breaking.
weird.
It's a weird. I personally, because I was told when I was, oh, your voice is so nice, and I was on they had a glee club, and I was in the glee club at this school, and I would be in stuff, and then what do you know?
Yeah.
Don't sing anymore.
Because you're
That's
not
what people
singing
told
anymore.
me. Do not, you do not belong in this thing. And it's weird as you get to be an adult, and they're like, whoa, you could be in a choir now.
Yeah.
With hello, and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then
That's what I was thinking when you said it. I was like, well, what
so
you
you
on
have
about?
this like 15-year period after your voice breaks where nobody wants you around. Do not come to karaoke night. If you do come, if you could be in the back there, if you want to sing, just turn towards the wall.
You know what that might be though. It takes that long to really build confidence and realize the things you can do.
Yeah, and also
Other people don't always tell you.
Yeah, where people tell you your voice is so nice. I it's weird here. People hear my voice sometimes.
Oh, your voice in general, yeah.
They get kind of transfixed.
Well, you got the nice deep voice, but you've also got the accent. So over here, yeah, you got it sorted.
When I came the first time in 2002, I came for 3 months, and I was in London. I worked for the BBC Nations and Regions news program. It was like
Okay.
news thing. So what they did is obviously you have local radio here. You have all these local TV news things.
You mean like
Nick Owen, Midlands Today, and
you mean like the local
Meridian
ones?
Tonight, local ones.
Like Switch Radio.
So they
Catch Me On There.
They had a whole
in the past
team of people who were just like the political reporters for the Nottingham, and the West Midlands, and Hampshire, and Cornwall, and all this stuff, and it was fun. It was very interesting.
As if they bring on somebody not from England to be a political.
I was like, my job was literally they had all these politicians who would not appear on local radio and television.
Right.
So you think like, okay, Rishi Sunak, like Liz Truss used to do this, and David Cameron especially, David Cameron would go on local radio and be asked questions because he knew the questions that local radio people would put to them were not nearly as like forced
hard
to be engrossed. Like,
yeah.
Oh, I have to give this big comprehensive answer. No, I can talk about like
what
the local MP for this place is doing, and I can almost avoid talking about myself.
Yeah, yeah.
And when Boris Johnson came in, when Liz Truss came in, it was all about them and their ego. They didn't even know who the local people were. They had no script. So the local radio, they finally broke through. They convinced people to just come on and be themselves or try to be themselves. It became a challenging.
It has become more of a thing like in America. So, and we always follow America. So
at that time, they were like, oh, his voice is something. If he calls somebody and says, hi, I'm John Parman, and I'm calling from Katie Hinken show. Katie Hinken, a podcaster who has over 15,000 downloads. This could be the kind of podcast that could change your plans, your future projection, how people see you. And then of course people feel like, well, I need to call back and learn more about this thing.
Yeah.
And I say, you're going to be on with this person, and he over 3.5 million people have heard him speak. And you don't say that the 3.5 million people are like 3,500 people who have listened to a show for 10,000 days. That's not relevant. You have to use the biggest number to get the biggest. It's crazy when you think about how.
It makes sense.
So you're marketing this.
Yeah, marketing.
And so I went from being a booker to then going into sales and doing business development.
Obviously, Booker was in the ones literally calling up to try and persuade them.
I ended up. They said to me, you're really good at this.
Yeah, and that is sales. So yeah.
I honestly, the thing is, what I learned is like I actually did come back. They said, you're really good at this. You should come back. I came back, and booking is hard work. I ended up working for the BBC Asian Network and 5 Live, and looking for topics, and then creating briefs, like saying, like I found one, the best one I ever had was I was working on the Richard Bacon show at BBC. At the time it was the Mailbox in Birmingham.
Oh yeah.
And anyway, so
fancy
they had
place. If anyone doesn't know, fancy.
Yeah, exactly. And But
I feel wrong when I walk through it. It doesn't feel like I should be in
It's
there.
a very odd place. The whole idea that you can walk through these residential apartments and they have all these stores.
We like that kind of thing in England. We like people to be able to walk through so that the people walking through can be like, oh, look at those posh people. Ugh.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
They think it's so that, we can not just be annoyed by them, but also be encouraged to, be rich. But it's also for the rich people to see the lessers walk down and be like, huh, look at those maggots.
It's
good, best of both.
It's so odd. I agree with you. It's a very odd place. And it kind of does, it reminds me, like in America, a lot of people move places where they just like, I'm never going to have to see anyone walking on the sidewalk.
Yeah. That's where I'd go.
And if you live on a ground level flat, you're going to need double curtains, the iron bars over the windows.
Yeah.
If there's a fire in your flat, you are dead in America. You are gone. Good luck. There's no getting out in America.
They do choose security over.
Yeah. It's weird. It's
self-security.
Yeah. But, what was I talking about? So I was a booker.
Going through you worked at the mailbox.
And I went to the mailbox and I did the show and they said, if you have a story, we'll hire you for the night and then you get paid.
Story?
Yeah. So if you have a thing you can bring with you,
topics,
you're like, this could easily fill an hour. I found something that could fill 3 hours. So this was 2004. And I thought, this is going to get me a job. There was like a going job there.
Radio.
As a radio producer. And I told him, I'm going to get you a story that is going to be like wildfire for the show. Because Richard Bacon is a really nice person. He is genuinely, like, you should get him on this show. He'd be great.
Anyone
Bacon.
like that.
Not a comedian, but very funny guy.
Yeah, I like having people other than comedians on as well.
But when you're doing radio, it can't just be the personality of the person is really good, but it's actually how the person engages. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like if there are people who run podcasts and all they do is talk about themselves or all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
And
I've learned from doing like a lot of podcasts, that's one thing you shouldn't do straight away.
Yeah. And so
if there's a choice between me or you talking, it should be you.
So we had the previous week, they'd found this story about, I don't know, a satellite or something like that, or satellite, and it's going to come over the UK and all this other stuff.
Him.
And they brought this guy on from this space society.
I don't think somebody that big would come on my podcast, in all honesty. If you could talk to him, but
I think Richard Bacon, he'd be a really good guest. He was like on Blue Peter, I think.
Yeah, Blue Peter.
And
everyone's been
a
on
Port
Blue
Vale
Peter.
fan.
I've heard of them.
Yeah. And what else? Let me see.
He thinks Gaza isn't starving; it's being starved. I agree with his comments about Gaza.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very true. Gaza isn't starving; it's being starved.
Yeah,
very true.
Absolutely. He's been married for 16 years.
Yeah.
So I think he'd probably be happy to do your podcast. Yeah. I think you should definitely ask Richard, or I can ask him. Hello, Richard. My name's John Parman. You probably don't remember me, but I remember you.
Yeah, that's what it matters.
Yeah, and I found this guy. He's got 15,000 downloads. Katie Hinken. You need to be on his podcast. This is the place.
I'll clip this and send it to him and be like, we said this, so you have to do it.
Anyway, so we had the show on, and I said, this is the perfect topic. So it was a company in Michigan in America.
Oh, okay.
Had said, look, if you want to work here, because of the cost of health insurance. So in America, health insurance is paid for by the employer. They pay for a policy, and then the employees buy the policy from the company. Yeah. Or they buy it themselves. They have this thing called a health saving account.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It depends on the rate you get from the company. Some people forward.
Yeah. But all you pay for in America, you pay for the access to a network of nurses and doctors and all this stuff, right?
Yeah.
But then every visit you pay to go visit the doctor, and then anything else you pay for, prescription you pay for, all those things you pay, all those things.
Yeah, it's great. My one of my best mates lived in America for like 4 or 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
He went over there for a uni and ended up meeting someone, got married, and got the green card.
Very good.
Ended up divorcing, coming back. You know, he's now worked to be a teacher and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
A full life. in a young
Whole
man
life.
right there.
Exactly. And I mean, my story is very much like that. Like I thought, all right, I'm in England. I'm working for the BBC, even as a freelance person. I'm going to figure out how I can do this. And even if I just do radio on a Saturday night, I'm still doing radio. And I think this is really cool. And
so was that what you wanted to be in at the time?
But I'd been told I should do it because of my voice.
Yeah.
And then I had to figure out how to make it work with the rest of my body, my brain, all that stuff.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Partly why I started wanting to get into radios, because I always did stuff with my voice. I had similar kind of like sales stuff as well.
Yeah.
But I was doing like collections in a thingy.
Wow, really?
And then got moved into sales because of it. And then wanted to do radio because I'm like, I always do stuff with my voice. I wonder why. And then I thought it's because I have a weird voice. So
and when people listen to you, you think, hey, you know what? Maybe I could turn this into something. And I liked interviewing people, but of course they don't want to have an American interviewing people on the air. I actually I interviewed Imran Khan once for the BBC Asian Network. Imran Khan, the cricketer, and
I thought you just said a politician,
president of Pakistan, one of the best presidents in Pakistani history, maybe even the world. He's a really amazing guy. Definitely worth learning about. Imran Khan. I am personally like Imran Khan used to live in, I think he lived in England. He was married to an English woman called Jemima Goldsmith. Wow. He's a fascinating man. Anyway, he got stopped at in the United States. He got off a plane and they took him in and questioned him about why he was in America. And I understand how annoyed and insulted he might have felt.
Yeah, so I get that as well.
I interviewed him, and then they wanted me to ask a question about Jemima Khan, and he was like, I do not want to have an interview anymore. You know, I felt bad about that because
that's not your
everything
fault.
Exactly. You know, they were just so obsessed with the gossip where I worked.
Yeah.
And you know, this guy had legitimately gone through a very painful thing. Anybody would be mad if they were stopped and questioned about why they
and you know the insinuation anyway with him as an Asian dude.
No doubt. You know.
Well, so you know when you hear the word Asian, that's different when you hear it in America, isn't it? That's normally referred to Eastern Asian.
Yeah, well, we call them Indian.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then they get,
even though it's not India,
but
and then, it is nearer that side though.
People from Pakistan and Bangladesh, they get very annoyed when you call them an Indian.
Yeah, I imagine they would.
But yeah, so you know that's the.
But it's like, you know, if you call somebody like from Israel, that say they were from like I can't think of anyone, but Jordan. Say they're from Jordan, they get angry and they're nearby. So it's the same anywhere, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And
you call an Irishman a Scotsman and they'll be very angry.
I had when I growing up in Berkeley, I grew up across the street from a synagogue. So my family was Catholic, or I should say my mom was Catholic, and we were just there
Jewish?
for the ride. Jewish
place of worship for anyone
who
don't know. They're rare nowadays.
They are. I don't know. Are they rare? They just moved down the street, so they had. There had been a mansion there, and then there was a fire, and the mansion burned down. And they built the synagogue, and it was there. I don't know how long they were there. 30 years, something. Anyway, and they had a camp. I used to go to their camp because it was across the street. Camp Kitov.
Oh, that's cool.
Shout out. You know, have you got the ruach? You know, we learned all these great. Hebrew words. Ruach means have you got the heart, like it's strength. Have you got strength? Ruach. If you got that ruach, and you go, yeah, man. And, have you got that ruach? Yeah, man. Well, if you got that ruach, show it in your. And then somebody would shout out like your head or your heart, and then we go heart. Heart, you know, and so
that sounds great, though.
I wandered around the world. Well, I should say, wandered around England and America. I'm not a very widely traveled person. Yeah, that was in America. I would meet Jews, and I'd say, "Oh, I went to Jewish day camp," and I would tell them all the things I learned, like Cheket Slavaka Shah. While it's very bad, is that my?
Yeah, what happened to that then? Something happened to you.
Oh, there we go. Now it's on. It's on. I hope you caught any of that. I might have accidentally done the thing.
It hasn't been off for too long because I check it every now and then.
They took tilapia and they put it in prisons and they started raising tilapia, and they found that they could produce tilapia for a lot less money than the private sector. And the private sector went out of business. And where I went to college in Oregon, colleges there were not allowed to compete with the private sector. So colleges couldn't start a business. You had to ask all the students for money instead. And that was very hard.
Wow.
Students don't have a lot of money. And we'd come up with all these ingenious business ideas, like a coffee shop. And, like a guy I went to school with, he said, I'm going to create a coffee shop and I'm going to wear a bathing suit. And he was like, and his girlfriend said, no, I'll wear a bathing suit. And, you've probably seen them now, all these places that have, they serve coffee in a drive-in and they're wearing
yeah.
I think he legitimately came up with that idea. That was Jabin. If you're watching, good job, dude. That guy he knew literally every part of the Bible. Like we'd find Bible quizzes. He knew every part of the Bible.
Wow.
Right. And
you go from Nash.
Yes. Jabin, I don't know what you're doing now, man, but I believe in you. I think he did accounting, I think. And he ran track. Jabin, I have no feeling. I have a good feeling. He's 9 children, 10 children.
Oh my God.
I don't know. Did you join the army, Jabin? I don't know what happened.
Is he a Mormon?
Yeah. I don't know. A name like Jabin, that's definitely a biblical name.
That is
right.
Well, nearby. It sounds like you'd like the biblical.
Like there were guys called Jed at my college.
Jed definitely sounds like.
There was one guy. His name was TJ, and I'm like, I know what TJ means. He goes, no, you don't. And I'd say Thomas Jefferson. Like, no, Tim Johnson. Why would my middle name be Johnson? I'm like, because your mom's called Johnson, right? And all these things, right?
Well, she likes him.
And he goes, no, my name is TJ. My name is TJ, and literally on his birth certificate,
TEEJAY.
TJ was his name.
Oh wow!
Letter T, letter J.
Anyone that has
no middle name.
Anyone that has TJ like for a name for their kid is kind of silly, really.
Well, I don't know, man. There was another guy. His name was Tiger because his mom was an artist, so he was named Tiger.
I was purposely trying to get you to say yes then because my youngest son is TJ.
Yeah, and then I had another friend. His name was BJ, and that was his name. BJ was his name.
Wow.
And his parents named him BJ, I think, and the idea that he would pick his own name, like Billy Joel or something would be, he'd pick it. Enough B names, like what's your favorite B name? Bud, or I like Buzz myself.
I like Buzz. Buzz is a cool one.
Or Bubba is a nice, good B name.
It reminds me of
Barnaby. There are all these, they're good, some good B names.
Barnaby Jowl.
Barnaby Jones, Barnaby Jones. He
Jowl.
Was
we called him TJ, but he actually has names though.
Right.
He's called Tobias James.
Tobias James, yeah.
Tobias, it's a strong name that is.
And so BJ,
religious too?
He just decided. I mean, he was the co-editor of a newspaper with me,
right?
And BJ was just BJ. He was BJ, and
BJ
Nelson,
Novak.
BJ Nelson, who actually auditioned to be a wrestling WWE commentator.
My man.
In front of Jim Ross.
Oh, my man.
And Jim Ross gave him amazing feedback. You can only become a wrestling commentator by being a wrestler first.
That's not the case nowadays.
Okay, obviously there's loads of community wrestling that doesn't quite make it to television. Has like people who just are there for the wrestling. But on WWE, Jim Ross, the King.
Jim Ross isn't in WWE anymore.
No, he's not. Obviously, he's not there anymore. But I'm kind of going back.
AEW.
Taz,
he does AEW now.
Kevin Cole, wrestlers. Michael Cole, wrestlers.
Michael Cole wasn't a wrestler.
Was he not a wrestler?
No.
Okay,
Jim Ross wasn't either.
Why everyone made fun of him all the time.
Yeah, Jim Ross wasn't either.
Jim Ross? No, I'm sure he did some wrestling.
No. He was too old all the time, really.
Mean Gene Okerlund.
Mean Gene.
Definitely a wrestler.
Mean Gene did. Yep.
Mean Gene.
Pat Patterson.
I used to go to, every time I went through Redding, California, I would go to Mean Gene Okerlund's restaurant.
Oh, wow.
And that was like that to me. That was the pinnacle of the American dream, that you can be a WWE news interviewer.
Yeah, because he does a lot of like.
And I'm Mean Gene Okerlund.
Yeah.
Like I would recommend. He was always Mean Gene Okerlund, right? Always Mean Gene. Never fought with anybody. There was never a tussle between him and.
There's no controversy.
He was so polite.
Yeah.
And then he had a hamburger restaurant in Redding, California. I don't know how many there were, how many Mean Genes there were, but it was an honor. I never met Mean Gene there,
That's a shame.
but I would always. I don't know if it's still there. If Mean Gene is still, he died, and I mourn Mean Gene.
Yeah.
I mourn him, and but he was somebody who I think, like, as a kid, there were people who you kind of look up to. I looked up to wrestlers, but it was Mean Gene. I thought, this guy, he's got something. And the more I learn about Mean Gene, I'm like, honestly, maybe one of the best Americans who ever lived.
I can understand that he was a national treasure. Anyone that had him should be happy to have him.
Very much. And so, yeah, then I came 2005. I finished 2004.
I watched wrestling and I came.
2004. I tried to get on the BBC. I couldn't get a job there. I decided to go back to America. I was in America I was in this country. I was living with Lonry and his girlfriend, Blessing.
Oh, wow.
And in Erdington.
I know Erdington.
And I decided I'm going to leave. I told my girlfriend I'm going, but we'll stay in touch. And
sure.
And
sure.
And yeah. Well, we had a little. It was nice. And
you dog, John.
But I went to Baltimore. I found this job.
Oh, you went back to Baltimore?
Got off the plane. Yeah, I applied for a job as a radio producer for a public radio show, so a donor-supported radio show.
So this America. You'd come to England for like a year or so.
Yeah, and I had a visa to let me stay, but I had absolutely no idea what I was going to do.
Yeah,
and I was running out of money.
Yeah,
and I thought, all right, I've got to go to. I had a really good friend in Baltimore who had a house. I'm like, okay, job done. And I applied, and my idea was, I said, look, it would be better if I was based in England.
Right. Yeah.
Right. I can do the show from England. I can book all the guests for you. If you have a studio in Washington, D.C., I can do everything from here. And the woman said, I'd love to hire you, but it will not work that way. And so I got on a plane and I went and I interviewed, and she called me about 3 hours later and I'm giving you the job. And sister,
if you're willing to come back to America for it, I think you should get it.
Sister Maureen Fiedler. Sister Maureen, what an amazing lady.
Maureen.
Yeah, she was kicked out of the Catholic Church. She was kicked out of her order. She was a nun.
Wow, I love her
became
already.
a nun when she was 15 years old.
Wow.
It was like expected, I think, expected of her.
Yeah, okay. I get it.
She was also one of the most successful Weight Watchers coaches in North America.
I guess that was after.
Yeah, I'll tell you after. Anyway,
no, I'm saying, I'm guessing that was after.
Yeah,
that was after the Catholic Church stuff.
Well, yeah, it was like kind of concurrent to each other.
Oh, okay.
She had done a.
She wasn't a nun when she was doing Weight Watchers.
She'd done a hunger strike. In the 1970s.
No wonder she's so good at Weight Watchers.
No, this is the thing. Like, she lost almost no weight when she was doing the hunger strike, and then actually went on this kind of binge. The hard thing is when you go through that kind of stress, your body doesn't really know how to respond. And, Anyway, she did Weight Watchers, but anyway, she did the weekly show called Interfaith Voices.
Oh, cool.
And I was not very religious, but it was a nice group of
Same,
people.
I'm not, but I'm very interested in it.
I met loads and loads of people who obviously came to the Washington, D.C. when Kennedy was president.
So just to clarify, then, you said you're not religious either.
I had an early experience. Like, my mom is Catholic, and she's a Sunday school teacher.
Oh,
and
cool.
I have friends and family, I should say family, who are quite religious.
Yeah.
I had an experience early in my life where I got to hear from somebody who was very close to death telling another person why they no longer believed.
Wow, okay.
And I remembered that so hard that it made me into a non-believer.
Yeah, do you still remember it?
Yeah, I had a...
I hope you can remember it.
So I was 6, and I was doing this thing, First Communion. So I First Communion, in America, is very much about the Christmas nativity pageant.
Right.
And so your church is having the Christmas nativity pageant.
Yeah.
All the kids who are doing First Communion, you don't really have to learn a lot for First Communion.
No, of course not.
It's not like your bar mitzvah when you're 13 in the Jewish faith.
Yeah.
You have to memorize all this stuff and recite it back. No. So at 6 years old, you're gonna go and get the bread and the wine, and they're gonna do a special service, and that's it basically. But the nativity thing is way more important. And so I don't know who I was. I was like one of the wise men, I think. But it coincided with all these other things happening that actually they ended up like the class did not meet. So the class was after school, and the class just kind of everyone stopped going to the class for a little bit of time.
Right.
And then suddenly it was December, and crunch
I
time.
was in the Sunday school class.
Yeah,
it
wasn't Sunday school. It was during the week. It was like after school, first communion class.
Oh, okay.
Not Sunday school. Like if they had it on a Sunday, that would have been better.
Yeah, that would have been better.
But they were not those. They weren't smart Catholics. They were Berkeley Catholics.
No, they were smart because they wanted you in there.
Right. They were like, okay, you're going to come, because I went to a public school. So I think their idea was if he comes to this Catholic school, he's going to be exposed to Catholic education, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
Anyway, I had gone to the Catholic school before as a kid, and they changed the rules. Like I had gone there for this thing called preschool.
Okay,
You have preschool here?
Well, we do. It depends what level you're on about, though, because you have like nursery, which is
so it
probably
was called kindergarten. Kindergarten,
Yeah,
that's what it was.
yeah,
Kindergarten, and the kindergarten was supposed to be from 9 o'clock until 3 o'clock. My brother went to another school, but he had roughly the same hours. So my mom had the whole day then. And then the church decided that
party for John's mama.
kindergarten is too long for children to be separated from their mothers. So they changed kindergarten from 9 to 12.
Yeah, that's kind of what it is
And-
more like here. It's either people either have a morning like 9 to 12 or like, half 12 to 3. That's,
Which, if you have a job, is
Oh.
really inconvenient.
Well,
My
I
mom
mean,
had to quit her job. And
you know what people say to that, though? It's like, well, don't have
So I ended
have kids?
yeah, don't have kids. But by then, I think my family had 3. I had 2 siblings. I had an older brother and a younger brother.
Yeah.
And it was like when you're Catholic, there are no rules about. They have this thing called the rhythm method, which you kind of count your days. So the day has 28. The month has 28 days in it.
Okay, right.
There are 3 days that if you're a woman and you're ovulating, you don't even remember, I think. Like, it's just you have these 28 days between cycles, your natural menses cycles.
Yeah.
And so there's 3 days of the month. No, I should say like that you're going to really feel it. It's going to be like, oh my God, 3 days of menstruation.
For women.
For women.
Yeah,
That's the 3 days. 28 days later, it's going to happen again. So, but you have this window within that where you're not ovulating, you're not creating a new egg, and the egg you had is gone.
Yeah.
And that is when you cannot get pregnant.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I see.
And that was when you should have sex. And no other time.
What? Don't Catholics want to have?
Well, they want
babies,
to. No, they want to have babies. Exactly. So
but
they don't want to have.
use contraception.
They don't want to have unnecessary sex, right? And so you have these kind of.
Unless you do that, because that is unnecessary.
Right. Yes, that's unnecessary sex. So really, that's like vacation time for Catholic women. They're like, you can't touch me, right? Because I can't have a baby.
Oh, I see. It's the opposite.
Yeah, exactly. So that's like that's holiday time in the Catholic Church. Like we don't have to do anything. This is just going to be us. We're going to have time with the kids and all these other things, right? Anyway,
I'm sure they get more respect than they do in the Muslim faith.
No one talks about this. No one talks about.
I've never heard this
what
before.
happens when you don't ovulate. Everyone talks about ovulation. Oh, hey, she's pregnant. She's abundant. That's what the thing they would use. They have this.
Do they just fuck like rabbits? So the idea is whenever they're able to have kids.
I don't want to know. I don't want to know. But they have this thing.
I don't mean your parents personally.
In America, they have this term in America called quiverful. What? Quiverful, and there's this movement. The Hansen. You heard of the Hansen brothers? Hansons. This is a big movement in America. People who believe that your sperm, these eggs that have been created, they've been created for a reason, and the reason is to have as many children as you possibly can. And the world will provide.
Yeah.
The world will give you all the resources you need, regardless of your income, regardless of everything, because they love children. And if you're a child in this country, or you have been, really, in some cases true, but not necessarily. If you look up Quiverful Hansen, I think that's the
what's that? Sorry,
Hansen, and then Quiverful, Quiver. There it is, Quiverful. That's it.
What am I looking at?
Let's see. What was it like to grow up? Hanson brothers have 12 kids in total, but won't get 12 kids in total. And that was only in
Celebrity.
2017.
I like it. Celebrity.
Yeah. So they have
Hanson brothers have 12 kids, but won't
get vasectomies because of the pain. The pain of getting
okay, and who are these people then?
So Umbop.
Oh yeah.
Those are the Umbop guys.
Oh right,
And,
okay.
They have a cruise every year. You can go down to the Caribbean, as you say in this country,
Caribbean.
to spend time on a boat with Hanson
Oh
and learn
God.
all about their incredible lifestyle. But most likely, if you're on the boat, you are part of the lifestyle.
You're getting banged.
Yeah, you have yes. Exactly. You're on the boat with your partner.
Trying to think of a good way to say it. Yeah.
In order for you to leave the boat pregnant with your partner's child, but they'll definitely be your husband.
Oh.
They'll be your husband.
Oh.
You will not be an unmarried woman on the boat unless you're with your mother.
Yeah.
And so they have they build their following, and I think a lot about
their wives are like, having all these babies hurt too.
When I was in DC, I was working for someone who believed that they were a celebrity, and you're not. You're hosting this radio show that isn't even aired in the town in which you live.
Oh, I mean, it'd be ridiculous if anybody in our comedy scene thought they were like celebrities,
right? Exactly,
and above everything.
You think of this podcast,
that'd be crazy.
Like this podcast is popular too. If you had 15,000 downloads, you look at the statistics, you say, okay,
that's nice and all, but it's not
downloads. But is it 15,000 people who downloaded the show once?
Yeah.
Or is it?
Well, we don't need to. We don't need to break down the numbers, but either way,
I'm not. Because the thing is that we had no statistics at all. We had zero statistics.
Oh wow.
We had it was on the internet, Interfaith Voices, and we had a podcast archive that people could download shows. But we had no numbers. We had zero numbers about what it was.
Wow.
Analytics were terrible. It was Google Analytics. And
they're not much better now.
I don't know how to describe it when you have this. It was so new. Everything was so new. All the technology, everything like that. And my job was as the producer was to call radio shows and literally say, "I'm sending you a CD for this radio show, which is about religion, news, and current affairs," because there's so much religious radio and television in America. You don't want to be described like that.
Yeah.
And we had all different kinds of voices. We had Muslims on, we had Jews, we had every kind of Christian you could possibly think of. Scientologists.
Cool. Oh wow.
You name it. I actually was the first person to get atheists on the radio in the US. I worked really hard on that.
I'm sure there's been loads of atheists on the radio.
There are atheists on the radio, but like
openly
humanists. Like we found this
in
Washington DC, you can get a permit to do a protest about literally anything. And that's one of the best things about Washington D.C.
I don't like
bring
that.
people from all over the United States to Washington D.C. just like you can anywhere in America and have a protest. But in Washington D.C., your odds of being featured on any television station, like they have this channel in Washington D.C. that's showed all over America called C-SPAN.
I've heard of that. Yeah,
and C-SPAN is supposed to be nonpartisan. It's paid for by cable companies to provide almost like the BBC Parliament, but BBC Parliament is just one channel with a group of people. C-SPAN has two channels. They have a lot of resources at their disposal, and they want to show
BBC have a lot of.
They want to show you Washington D.C. They want to show you what's happening in Washington D.C. and they show all kinds of different meetings. And the more you can turn your protest into like something with a lectern and a microphone, the more likely it is that C-SPAN will show up.
Right.
It's like the bat signal for C-SPAN is a stage and a podium.
Yeah, you want it set up in a way that they'd like.
Yeah,
that's a smart way to do it. For me, I dislike the idea that you have to get the idea of having to follow rules for a protest. If your protest is within certain rules and guidelines, I don't feel like it's a protest anymore.
Yeah, I mean, it's very funny you say
watered down.
Like I think a lot about parades. Like I love. Everyone loves a parade.
You don't get them here.
You don't get a lot of parades. You have protests. You have these things where they'll have a group of people. Like in Dudley, when I moved there, they were going to build a mosque, the super mosque.
Oh, wow.
They called it.
Super
and it was
mosque.
going to have a community center and a gym and car parking but for the public. And one of the biggest concerns, and it was a concern for everybody, including Muslims, was the fact that
racism.
you had to drive
the bombs.
There was nowhere to park.
Oh,
there was nowhere to park. And so they were parking, and they would inconvenience locals.
Yeah,
and if you're the only mosque for miles, everybody everywhere seems to have a church that no local people go to.
That's true.
All the cars that show up are too nice for this place. I live in Cates Hill. I live in Dudley, and there's a Christadelphian church at the end of my street. Every car there is a Mercedes-Benz, a BMW, a Kia. All these cars that people in Dudley would not be driving.
And Muslim people as well, they normally have nice cars because a lot of the time they're not spending money on shit like we do.
Right. Or they're, they have a nice old Toyota Cressida or something, just like, I've never seen a Subaru. I mean, there are legitimately rare cars
in
this country. You don't see many Subarus.
You don't see many. Yeah, it's very stereotypical, but you don't see many.
You don't see many Isuzus in this country.
Isuzus.
Many Suzukis. You live in there are no Suzukis in America. You'd never find a Suzuki or a Seat. Nobody has a Seat or a Skoda.
You don't have any American cars in Europe, though, which is the weird thing.
You used to have Chrysler, and you'd have Chevy was car in history. The Chevy Aveo, all these PT Cruiser from Chrysler, all these they were not good. They were not good vehicles.
I saw Trump talking about that recently, that there's no American cars in in Europe and stuff.
Yeah, but that's America's fault.
Ford,
they have loads of Ford. Ford is all over Europe, all over
Ford,
the UK.
Is that America?
Ford is an American car.
Oh, okay. Well, UK.
So but the reality is that it's very expensive to run a car company.
Yeah,
and I mean, how many legitimately working class or kind of working class English car companies are there?
Well, I mean, there is
Vauxhall.
There is down the road from here. There's a big say down the road from here. It feels down the road from here to me. There's a big Land Rover Jaguar place.
Mm-hmm.
I know a few people that work there.
Yeah, and it's awesome when you have a factory. Can you imagine if Jaguar Land Rover was if you want to work here, you can't smoke.
Oh yeah,
right.
Well, no, you can't smoke bud.
Well, even if you can't smoke it doesn't matter. If you can't smoke nicotine,
I could get over the nicotine, to be honest.
I think you could, but you
shouldn't have to.
You think of vaping,
yeah,
right? So, I work at a youth club, and when it was built in 2016, they had a smoking shelter that was big enough for 200 people.
Damn.
Did you go to a youth club when you were a kid?
No. Well, we had Scouts at one point.
Scouts. Did you smoke at Scouts?
No.
No, there's no smoking at Scouts.
Yeah, I wasn't smoking at that point.
Yeah, there was never. But even other people weren't I'm on Scouts.
I didn't see. Yeah.
No.
That's crazy having a shelter for
happening.
it.
And so they expected in Wolverhampton that, of course, if you went to a youth center, you smoked. And so they had the five-a-side area, and then the smoking area, and then the inside of the building. And you think, okay, I get it. I mean, the kids can't. They paid to come in. They paid 50p to come into the building.
Right. Oh yeah. Okay, that kind of youth.
They should have a place to smoke.
Should they?
Yeah, right. Should they? Anyway, so the youth zone banned vaping. They banned smoking, obviously, pretty early, but they banned vaping recently, and they're the only vape-free youth center in the UK.
See, I myself, I used to be kind of against kids vaping, but I did learn in 2019, because I remember this happening, that there was something that changed laws, and only certain vape juices from then on were okay. And I know recently that's because they took acetone out, and that's what they think was there was all these people getting a lung disease.
There are many,
and now it's just gone.
Nobody, if there was so cat food all comes from one factory. All the dog food basically comes from one place.
Right, okay.
And that's the thing. Anybody can make vape liquids.
But they've got to be regulated now.
Because nicotine is nicotine. Nicotine, you could buy nicotine. Nicotine is one of the most addictive drugs in the entire world.
Yeah.
Right. But with nicotine, you do not need very much nicotine to overdose. Like if you think of one
Yeah.
cigarette, one drag of a cigarette has all the nicotine you need to have one dose of nicotine. Okay.
Right.
And then
okay.
every drag you have after that isn't adding anything.
Yeah, it's already you've already
But
had the hit.
The tobacco plant is like loaded with nicotine. So much so that when they cultivate tobacco, they put it in these big barns and they smoke it to get rid of the excess nicotine. 'Cause there's so much nicotine in it that they need a low nicotine cigarette to sell it, or else you go blue in the face.
yeah.
And so, I mean, I used to get tobacco straws, and they were the stick part of the tobacco, like it's a wood.
Yeah.
You know, you can buy tobacco plants. You can buy like tobacco seeds for nothing. Tobacco will grow anywhere. I'm surprised this country, you know, you think of like nettles and Japanese knotweed and balsam. You know, we could have tobacco, but you chose ornamental plants.
What?
You know? Yeah,
What?
like Japanese knotweed. They brought to this country. They're like, you won't believe how nice this plant is when you see it.
And that's just a decorative plant.
Yeah, decorative plant.
Oh, what's
You
the
know,
point, Kevin?
And yeah, but tobacco, they could have brought tobacco back, and tobacco would be here. But I mean,
we grow loads of bud, you know.
yeah, exactly.
I mean, we
Now,
export it all.
So yes, and tobacco is
Point.
a you literally need, like, if you took a stick that was I don't know, like 2 millimeters wide, not very big at all.
Yeah,
You know,
tiny
like a
thing.
tiny stick.
Yeah.
And then you cut 1/4 of a millimeter.
Right, as in
so
length.
like literally like a grain of sand
Right.
is all the nicotine you need for one day.
What the fuck?
Yeah, and you will literally, you could chew that and you could overdose.
Oh, Jesus.
So you need like half of that again is all the nicotine. And nicotine has, they've done medical study after medical study that have shown that nicotine has amazing effects to prevent dementia, to prevent Alzheimer's, to prevent a lot of different conditions.
Wow.
Because it's it's like a disinfectant. It's a weird kind of thing. Like you put tobacco, they
So I
have
don't get ill.
nicotinoids are a kind of pesticide. And they're one of the most dangerous pesticides. They kill everything. And it's nicotine. And the
wait, what? Hold on. Nicotine's a pesticide.
yeah, it's a pesticide basically. They
Wait,
put
whoa.
they take
It went from feeling
they put it
healthy
in-
to
they
feeling
put it in
deadly.
pigeon nests to drive the mites away, drive the ticks away
Right.
from
Okay.
the animal. Well, you know, they use nicotine to do it. Yeah, it's bonkers. And
The animal's hooked on nicotine after. You need to give it a good 20
I don't
pack
know
a
how
day.
it works. I don't know if pigeons or if that happens, but anyway,
Oh, I hope not.
the
The
there was a company that
babies are
did this
born.
research.
Let's get
and
cold turkey.
There was a company that was like, no, we don't believe it. We don't believe it. They spent their own money doing research on tobacco plants, and they found this is how nicotine works. And instead of coming up with a really safe way to take it, where you could take it in such a way that you'd only have to have nicotine once a day.
Yeah, but you couldn't
And
tax
in
it
your-
as much then, is it?
Yeah, because have you ever used a patch?
Yeah, as I was going to say, I know somebody that had a patch and they smoked a load, so they were like, you know what, I'm going to put like 4 or 5 on,
Yeah.
and they like were half ODing in the shower. Somebody found him shivering in the
Yeah,
shower.
I'm not surprised. You know, I mean, if you've ever slept with a nicotine patch on, I mean, you were going to have the most insane dreams of your entire life.
It's crazy
Yeah.
what nicotine can do.
Yeah, nicotine is this is why they would have these tobacco ceremonies among the Native Americans.
yeah.
You know, they would have these ceremonies where they would overdose on nicotine, and then they'd have to, you know, they'd sit there and they'd chew their teeth like they would with methamphetamine or
Like
opium.
gurning.
They'd
Like coke more.
yeah, your face would go blue, you'd black out. All these things would happen.
Because you're killing
and
it. Damn.
you'd have this, you know, like a journey in your mind.
Yeah.
You know, your heart's beating so fast, you're pooping, you know, all these things are occurring that you have no control over.
Would you do that like a not so much a tobacco one, because that one seems
Like ayahuasca is a good
yeah,
example.
like an
of
ayahuasca one.
Another, you know, you could do it with tobacco, just like ayahuasca.
Gee.
But you would need the concentration of the plant.
But you'd have to
You
OD as
could
well,
not-
though.
You could not go to a tobacconist and buy any tobacco that is
Yeah.
nearly as close to as powerful as a pure tobacco plants.
No.
You know, even
That
you
makes
buy a
sense.
cigar because it's been dried. They hung it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they probably even smoked it. So I tried. I experimented with pure nicotine.
Oh wow!
You know, and
How did you get that?
well, I bought tobacco straws.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And I tried to figure out how small does it have to be for me to go about my day if I had it one single time.
Yeah.
And I got it down to a really good kind of thing for a while. And it was one of the most amazing experiences. It was like ultra clarity. The
Wow.
only thing that made it that even came close to the same experience was intermittent fasting.
What?
Yeah,
Okay.
where you don't eat.
Yeah, I've done a lot
You
of that. That's one thing that I do.
But
Like,
you have to, yeah.
but I'm guessing you mean more like full on.
I don't know how to explain it, but I wanted it. Then I decided, no, I'm just gonna.
Well, at that point, you were cool already. I'm
I
guessing.
knew enough.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, what am I going to do with this information? So I thought I'm going to start a tobacco company. You know, and so that's how I came back to England. I became a witch, and now I create.
What the fuck are you talking about?
I create spell kits, and that I sell to make money. So I have these spell casting kits that you use to, you know, quit projects. Like you probably everyone.
Have I suddenly phased out and gone high on tobacco?
Everyone watching has projects that they do. Like Katie, I'm proud of you for having a podcast.
Well, thank you.
You have booked people. You brought them on. You've created this whole thing. Congratulations.
I
Many
appreciate
people would say, I want to do a podcast. They do a podcast, 4 episodes. That's it. Right. And then they go, oh, I have a podcast, or I wish I had a podcast, all the stuff. Right.
Same with comedy. A
Well,
lot of us do that.
have, comedy. Comedy's a project.
Mm.
But then all these things come in. Singing at a comedy show is a project. All the equipment you need to do it, all this stuff. Right. And then you have, you know, then you have all the other things.
Just getting on stage, I think, is just
Yeah.
the same level. I think
Yeah.
I think it's braver to get on stage without anything else. So if you're just getting on the whole time with just the mic,
right?
Which I've done plenty of times,
Yeah.
but I'm saying
No,
I don't
you-
regularly do that.
willing-
Like yourself, though, you do that.
And everyone has projects that they do that is either at a stage of the process or not anywhere near that. Like I'm gonna paint a picture of Wolverine here.
Yeah.
And then you say, this is going to have a Wolverine on it, you know, and I'm going to have Iron Man over there. And, you know, and then you think 6 years later,
With a dick out.
I should buy a poster of Wolverine.
yeah.
And maybe I can find that. If I go to enough comic book stores, I'm going to find a picture of Wolverine with their dick out. I mean, it used to have to be a custom thing. Now you have AI.
There you go.
You can create it. But for years, people were held back you had to have a lot of money to get fulfilled.
With Wolverine's dick.
With what? Yeah, exactly. You know, if you wanted that, you had to find somebody who would never tell anybody. Oh, I painted Wolverine, or I painted Wolverine's dick, but I can't tell you where. I mean, you know, if you wanted to buy it, you know, you'd have to wait for it to come to the open market. You know,
you have to sign an NDA.
Yeah, no. You think about it this way, like a famous artist, like Leonardo da Vinci. He painted for people who had money. Okay.
That makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, he was basically commissioned to make art and come up with ideas by the Catholic Church.
Like that Michelangelo.
The Medicis. Michelangelo was the same. You know, I mean, even in the present day, there are artists who just are paid privately.
Yeah. Do you know that the Sistine Chapel? Do you know he got stiffed on that?
He got stiffed. Yeah,
he got stiffed.
Yeah, they were like, we didn't think you'd be alive at the end. You know, you drank so much, you know, that and all the lead paints and all this other stuff. Like I think they legitimately.
Yeah, that's true. Actually.
He would be dead. So they were like, you're gonna get all this money, and they were like, we're never gonna have to pay him because he'll be dead. You know, by the time of it.
They were like, they knew all about the lead paint. They're just like,
yeah, no doubt. Yeah, they definitely knew.
Catholic Church is terrible. Yeah,
they knew. You know,
I've always been super interested in the archives.
Yeah, the archive. Yeah, the Vatican archives. One day when it's going to happen, I'm sure of it. The
what?
Well, it'll open.
I don't know about
that. They'll have to. You know, it'll be when the Catholic Church falls.
They've talked about it again, haven't they? I think.
Yeah. Well, they talk about it every year. The secrets of the Vatican. If you have enough money.
Yeah, you can go to certain bits.
Get anything out of the Catholic archive, but you then need to figure out what it is that you want.
Yeah, because you have to say what you want before you go in, which is ridiculous because if you don't know what's there,
oh, that will cost you, I don't even know what you'd have to. I'm guessing enough money. There is enough money, but yeah. So that's why I got into spellcasting. I got into that witch work.
But is it genuine? Because I didn't know if you were taking a mic.
Oh well, I'll create a spell thing for you if you want. And the
I don't think I want to. I don't mess with that.
No one wants to mess with it. So
depends what kind of spell we're talking
got
about.
me into comedy. I basically kind of realized that I need something a project that I can complete every single week to feel a level of
I know exactly what you mean. Yeah.
And
I'm very similar. I need something that I'm doing.
Yeah, I know. I could be like comedians who I'm going to hone this amazing 10-minute set that's going to be like at the Glee Club.
Yeah,
they're going to want to have me there because I've got 10 beautiful minutes that's going to make people laugh. And I have seen comics over the years. I've seen them. Dave Attell is the best example I can think of.
Dave Attell.
Yeah, I used to watch comics on KQED on this television station. They would show an uninterrupted television show of comedians for half an hour. They'd show 4 or 5 comedians. They were very funny.
Yeah.
But I was too young to go to comedy clubs.
Right. Okay.
At the time. And the truth is, comedy clubs are relatively boring places. You have to go, you get a seat, you have to sit there. You're not allowed to stand up when they're on stage. You have to order drinks are expensive at comedy clubs.
Because they need to stay afloat.
Yeah, they're very it's its own thing. It's not a music club.
Yeah, there are not a whole separate thing. You really don't get many over here, though.
Yeah, it's a specialist activity to go see comedy, and it's almost like you're explaining who you are by saying you go to comedy clubs, and that's your thing. And the if you're an audience member, and I would go and watch these people, and so I thought these guys are really funny. And then I came to this country, and I would see comedians, or Dave Attell. I saw Dave Attell do Skanks for the Memories. It was so funny. I laughed my ass off. I bought it on DVD.
Was that a special over here?
No. He's an American guy.
Oh, yeah,
I dated a woman who gave me the CD, and she goes, "Isn't this the funniest thing?" And I'm like, "Yes, this is the funniest thing." And I don't know how to explain it. It was like literally like a formative memory. And then 10 years later, Dave Attell was playing in Washington, D.C.
Wow.
And I thought, I'm going to go see Dave Attell, and he's going to be really funny, and 10 years had passed, and I'm sure that there was more to Dave Attell. He had done Crank Yankers.
Dave Attell, yeah.
Dave Attell, he'd done Crank Yankers. He'd done this show where he would go to towns all across America and try to drink from the minute he landed until like the next morning. And it was what a cool idea for a show.
I saw him do bumping mics as well with Jeff Ross. And that's probably
probably maybe at the same time. I don't know how it worked. They might have had that show all over the world. They had a local comic doing that everywhere. Anyway, that was his show, Up All Night with Dave Attell, I think it was called. 10 years later, I see him in Washington, D.C., and he's doing Skanks for the Memories.
Yeah.
10 years later, I thought, I don't want to be the comedian who 10 years later hasn't changed their material at all.
I was doing the same stuff.
Yeah. And you see, like, I decided every week I go to the Hollybush Comedy Club, which is an open mic, new material comedy club for anyone who wants to get into comedy.
The Bush is where you need to go.
The Bush is where
100%.
You can go. But the audience is comedians. I encourage you, if you are not a comedian, come to the Hollybush so we can prove to many people that lots of ordinary people who don't want to be comedians come to the Hollybush.
I was going to say, yeah, they do.
It's a very funny place. Yeah. Extremely interesting, great comics, including John Parman and Katie Hinken. We go there.
It's a variety show at the Bush.
It's a variety. So I do a variety show as well on a Saturday night, which is more discerning. Okay, no new acts. People who we genuinely believe they have talent. We're going to bring them on. We're going to have a little fun. We have a Katie Hinken doing a pre-show on the 2nd of November.
Yeah.
Because Katie, you have the variety and the kind of a lot of fun stuff.
That
engages people.
I like to do that.
And you have a really good cohort of comedians you managed to kind of bring around that you have that are like Nathan Parrish is a great example. You and Nathan have been friends for a very long time, right?
Yeah. Since we're doing comedy, I clicked with him.
I remember the first time I met Nathan Parrish, like he was doing 10 minutes about tearing his ACL, And I thought, okay, this is interesting. And then I saw him again. It was tearing his ACL. And then 4 years later, I saw him, or 3 years later, tearing his ACL. And then, then I saw him in Bridge North at a comedy night in Bridge North, and he was completely different, like literally the funniest man. And Nathan, I have to hand it to you. Katie, I have to hand it to you.
Yeah, you know,
like, the transformation of comedy to say, okay, I did that 10 minutes, and now I'm going to try a new 10 minutes.
Yeah,
absolutely amazing. You know, I mean,
it is good to try and do it. Like, you should always be whacking new shit in.
Yeah.
Like, I like, you know, like adding some general stuff in, just, you know, because you know the stuff you know is going to hit with an audience if you're trying new shit.
Exactly. Trying new stuff,
but then just throwing it in the middles and shit.
You think the reality is, if you come to the same place with the same audience on a regular basis, they're going to hear your stuff and then go, "Oh, this again."
Yeah.
And I wanted that because my project is
To do
at
different
least
stuff.
10 new minutes every week.
Oh, so in that sense, that's what you're saying.
I would come in and I would do 10 new minutes, and the audience is like, "John, I love you, but you're so frustrating because every week you bring in stuff and you had this old idea before." And I'm like, "Could you tell me about the old idea?" And they're like, I can't really remember what it was, but I remember that I laughed. And I'm like, "Well, that is not feedback." You know what I mean? So I started recording
Well,
it.
that's good though.
Yeah.
Because if you remember what it is, if you can figure out what it was,
so
it's
I'd
good.
like, okay, that week, and then I'd look back and I'd see all the things that I wrote, because I'd be writing all week. And so 10
and you can go back to it as well.
A 10-minute monologue is 2,200 words, 10 pages. Like, that's a lot of words.
Is that how you write?
Well, no, I don't write like that.
Oh.
I write like one-liners, and then I write in a second line, and then I'd go a completely different idea. I sent some writing to a professional actor, and he abandoned it after about 25 minutes because he literally had no idea what it was about. And another actor told me, you know, it's like you have the beginning of the story and you have the end of the story, but not the middle of the story.
What, in comedy writing, though? Because it's not the same thing, though, at the same time, though.
And she goes, "You're so good at storytelling. You have some very funny one-liners. And but you know, where's the
meat?
Where's it going? You know?" And so I spend my time doing 10 new minutes, and then every X number of weeks, not on some set schedule, I'm going to try and amalgamate the funniest stuff into 10 minutes. Like a kind of the best of John Parman for the people who might remember. This is for you. And that's the kind of project work I do, because in my life I'm a salesman.
Right, yeah.
I'm a salesman, and it is amazing to ring the bell. You rang the bell, you know, you get the sale.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, it's cool.
You're so proud of this. I mean, if you're a salesman and you're watching, you're a saleswoman, it doesn't matter. You know, the adrenaline is there. You want to get the sale. You want to win this thing.
It's fun to talk people into shit.
Yeah, honestly, I've had some really hard years. I remember I got a job once, and with this boss who wouldn't communicate with me except in one-liners. I was just there. I was there to digest his banter. That's why they hired me. They were like, "This guy's funny. He'll take my jokes." And the rest of the time, I'm like calling people, and they would complain.
I actually had a job similar to this.
They would complain that I wasn't like, I would hit the phone from 9 o'clock until 4:30.
Oh,
like a half-hour break.
Yeah,
While my boss is like, "Huh, you know what they say about tires?" I'm like, "Yeah," and he goes, "They're round." Right? Dad joke, everything, you know, like, and he would show me videos he did with his daughter, and he's like, "You wouldn't believe how much my daughter will scream." Right? And then it would be like 35, 40 minutes of his daughter screaming at the phone. You know, this was like YouTube. That was it. There was just YouTube, and this man.
There was YouTube and this man's
screaming daughter, and then three months later, he called me in his office and he goes, sales are down.
Well, I suppose.
And I'm like, "Well, why didn't you tell me that? Like, when did you find out the sales were going to be down?" And he goes, I think about a month ago. I'm like, "Well, why didn't you tell me 4 weeks ago?"
Yeah.
Sales are down. Like, you're giving me this big ultimatum because sales are down. You could have given me that ultimatum a month ago, and I could have maybe really done something about it.
Yeah.
And I what did I do? I literally, it was Friday. Friday is the worst day to tell somebody that sales are down.
Yeah.
What can I do on a Friday about sales being down? Nothing. Right. So come back on Monday.
You got that stress for the weekend. You got to try and put it out of your head. The weekend, you can't do anything.
This is me transitioning from radio into being native in England.
Okay.
Because I had to. There's being in the media. Okay. and then there is being in England,
Be native.
right? You got to go native. You got to
Yeah.
an English person. So I'm in
Working
Dudley.
class English
I'm in
person. Man, we're
Dudley.
different.
I'm literally walking to work because I don't have a car. I don't have a driving license. I'm walking to Blowers Green, Thornley Trading Estate, where they recycle all the recycling in Dudley. That's me. I was there at this engineering company next to the transit center.
I know one comedian that was at the Bush Week recently. I won't say his name.
Okay.
I won't say his Romanian name.
Uh-huh.
But he was like, "Oh, when you do that new comedy club, is it gonna be with all the people in vests and hats and the working class people?" I'm like, yeah. What do you mean?
Yeah. I mean, look,
Working class,
yeah,
man.
people-
That's my people.
people would tell you not to leave your car there overnight. I mean, that was
No,
nice,
yeah, don't
but
do that,
At least they were nice enough to tell you not to leave your car there
Just
overnight.
exactly, yeah.
You know, they
gave
weren't
you a
out there
warning.
to let you experience bad stuff.
Yeah, they gave you a warning.
Everyone had your back. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
I liked that. I love that.
Unless people actively are stealing your car,
Right,
then they'll
right.
probably just let them
Yeah,
do it.
or you are an asshole.
Yeah.
You know, if you're an asshole, they will find a reason to let you be the asshole, right?
Yeah.
And the anyway, I went native. I'm working for this company, and the next week I called this woman up, and I'm like, we do door engineering and we do height safety engineering, and I know you have all the height safety engineering that you need. So I want to know, what is the hardest contract you have? What is the hardest job you have available? And we will take that contract. Okay. And she came back to me a week later with the job to maintain all the doors, service doors, fire doors, sliding doors, voice activated doors. You know, those doors that have the button.
Yeah,
you press the button
like
and the door opens.
yeah.
All the doors
Assisted.
for the British Broadcasting Corporation.
Oh wow. Damn.
Hey, what do you
so
know?
you got back to
I
BBC.
used to work there. And
Oh.
now I'm maintaining all their doors.
Full circle, man.
Yeah, full circle. So
Damn.
the BBC had paid £50,000
Shit.
to somebody to go around all the entire estate of the BBC. So you think mailbox, BBC Derby, BBC Shetland Islands,
And
Northern Ireland, all these places, London, all these places.
to help hide the pedophiles. Is that what you're doing?
All the places where they hide everybody. And they
do have little shacks.
Right, yeah. And then they had their job, this company, was to put a tag on every door and put all the doors in a database that you would then be able to use to be like, okay, door XRA270 is at White City on the 3rd floor at the northeast fire exit.
Right, yeah.
Okay. And instead, they got £50,000. They printed off like 27,000 stickers, and they put a sticker on every door. And each sticker had like an individual serial number. And that was and then they forgot to note where they put the serial numbers, like what door it actually was and where it was. They forgot to do that. Crucial step.
That's a big thing to forget.
You know, so they had the numbers of all the doors, but they didn't actually say where the doors were. So they needed another company to come in and document that and
shit, man.
actually service the doors.
Yeah, because you couldn't. How did they know where they were?
Right, exactly. The other company was like out of business then. They were like, "Oh, we got 50 grand. What more do you want?" Because the reality is, this is how England works. This is when you go native, you realize this.
I go native.
Is that they have contracts to do things. Like you care for
freelance
something.
shit.
Yeah, well, it's not freelance stuff. It's like this. It's like a company decided that it is too expensive to provide a service itself. So they got a subcontractor. Right. And the government, they have bases, they have all these things, and they're like, hey, you know what? We could have soldiers clean up the toilets. Or we could have, an old lady clean the toilets and the soldiers can get on to soldiering.
That sounds good.
Yeah. And then they do it ad infinitum for everything.
Yeah.
And so this was it. This was the reality of this. I could have been doing this to this private company. Instead, I was doing it for the BBC. And that first contract was worth £21,000. So we were maintaining every door for like 25 pence a door.
Wow.
Yeah. It was
And finding them.
and finding them, figuring out. We had to go and visit all the doors and look at all the
figure out
serial
which-
codes.
Oh, okay.
And then lay them out where they were.
So you've got the locations of them all. You
you
don't know what's what.
If a door has been opened 32 times a year, it has to be serviced at least once a year.
Okay.
Okay.
Surely most doors are going to be open 32 times a year.
Absolutely, you think?
Yeah.
Most doors would be within the serviceable door frequency. But they would have arguments with me. We worry that this door that we have to pay to be serviced, like they would quibble with me.
We don't want to pay the
I'm not
25p.
I'm not the engineer. I'm just the salesman.
Oh, so you didn't have to go out and do
Right?
it.
Yeah, thank goodness I was not the door engineer.
There you go. Okay.
Thank goodness. I mean, I don't know what would have happened if I had to service a door. The tough thing was that I actually found it very exciting. I found it very cool work. I wanted more door work. I wanted more engineering contracts, and I was like, we are never going to have sales down again. And I found myself, I was very good at selling all kinds of different kinds of engineering. There were lots of different kinds of engineering, and I ended up getting the contract.
I'm still dealing with the statement you just made.
You
I
have-
like door jobs.
Door jobs. Yeah. Door jobs are the,
And you're not even on about being on the door like most people would think you mean there.
I should do that. I should just go
Yeah,
and
cool.
get a job as a doorman, and that will satisfy the desire for doors that I have. But and I'd get these anyway. I get the funny thing is, I would tell these facility managers who are just they're money grubbing bastards. Facility managers. You gotta understand,
Nah.
absolutely crazy
What are you
people.
talking about?
Lovely
Nope.
people, lovely
Ah.
people. But the thing is that if they can find something to service, they will find someone to service it, and then they'll charge money for it, right?
That's what my girlfriend told me when she cheated on me.
Right. There you go. Yeah. And then anyway, so then you have
Find someone else to service me. I'm going to do it. I'm
right.
like, all right,
yeah.
all right.
I mean, I can't service myself. Okay. I need someone to service me.
Yeah.
Is the ethos of the that industry. And anyway,
imagine having double hand amputations.
yes,
That'd be horrible.
that would be horrible.
Well, you could do it. You could figure it out.
You could. Well, yeah. I mean, all these different things have services, right?
Yeah. Sorry, I brought
And-
the conversation way down. Then
Well,
go back.
prosthetics, yes. Anyway, but
Way down.
you think
That's my level up.
well, look at the guy. There was this MP who recently became a lord, and he had sepsis. Okay, and he's
when he
the
became
first,
a lord.
he's the first quadruple amputee in the House of Lords
Wow.
as of Thursday. Okay,
Oh, wow.
and you think, wow, that's amazing. He did it, and
shocking it took so
but
long. Really.
he had sepsis. He lost his extremities, his
yeah.
hands and arms
Limbs and
and
stuff.
feet and now he has a prosthetic and everything. And
Wow.
what is he campaigning for what is he going to campaign for in the House of Lords?
Is that the one that's doing the assisted
Sepsis.
dying?
No.
Oh, shit, okay.
Sepsis and the quality of prosthetics for amputees.
Oh, okay.
Because reality is that the services that amputees get,
Oh, it must be crap.
it must be crap. I
I
mean,
mean,
they do
I've
have
seen the NHS.
some nice stuff, but otherwise it's mainly bespoke.
I mean, if you want to get in
you know.
conversation, NHS stuff, yeah,
Yeah.
it's terrible.
And-
like,
and-
we should imagine.
Right.
Do they have to do a lot of private? I'm
Private
guessing?
stuff, I'm sure, and like you have to find somebody to like make something that's specific to the
Yeah, yeah,
way
yeah.
that your leg is and all this other
Expensive
stuff.
shit.
It's expensive stuff.
Have you seen like the level they can go to now?
Oh, they,
Like, if you have like a
Yeah.
one put on your arm,
Mhm.
like not only can your brain move it,
Mhm.
like with the brain waves,
Yeah.
you can also, when you touch something, it can take those feelings of touching something and kind of send that back into your
Yeah,
brain so you
yeah.
can feel it.
absolutely.
It's
I mean, it
amazing.
can be very, very advanced or incredibly basic.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And the I think a lot about that when I think about the facilities industry, because everything has to be built. Everything in life has to be built, right?
Mhm.
And
Like this body.
okay, yeah. And
Yeah.
you have some people have just eat. Some people literally that's it. They eat and they drink and that's it.
Oh, what you talking
Right.
about the company? Yeah.
Okay. And then you have when they build something, you have people who are like, okay, we have less than 100,000 pounds to build 2 flats for people in care. Okay.
Right.
And then we're going to get these fire doors. We're going to get, plaster. We're going to, make sure there are only 2 outlets in the room, You know, everything they can possibly do based on the amount of money they have.
Right. Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And then you have
Knock it all
the
down.
British Broadcasting Corporation or the governments or, you know, someplace
Yeah,
they build this big
yeah.
building and then they're like, cost is no limit. We can go and get these amazing sliding doors from Hungary or from most sliding doors in this country are disabled access doors are from Russia because they don't make them in this country anymore.
Russia.
You know, Russia, yes, or Spain. You know, yeah, we say Russia in because that's how the Russians say it, Russia. You know?
Russia.
And the
It's from Russia.
yeah.
We shouldn't be getting anything from Russia right now.
Anyway, so they have all these things that come, and then you have
including
to maintain
Vladimir.
them. Facility managers. What do? They maintain infrastructure. Okay, and I would find all these weird jobs. I would call people up and be unafraid, and I would tell the people who I trained, be unafraid, ask for any asset that you can service. So I'd call this one guy up, and he'd be like, "Oh, you know, we have this room full of old manuals." Like manuals going back to the 1930s for things, for machines they don't use anymore. And the company wanted to digitize all these manuals. So I was like, I'm going to have to see the room. And I went into this room and it was literally like 300 square feet of manuals up from the floor about 12 feet high.
I have a weird thing about like seeing something and just typing it out.
Yeah.
It's really therapeutic to me.
It is very, obviously.
So that sounds kind of beautiful at the same time.
It would be beautiful, but it was literally like
That's
maybe like a hectare of information.
Oh, shit.
Like a huge amount of information.
Damn.
And I had to find somebody who could even scan the books.
Oh, you want to digitize
you have
them
to
that
find
way?
somebody who can. That's what they wanted to do. They were like, we want to have PDF copies of all these books.
Oh, shit. That's even
whoa,
longer.
That's bonkers. And yeah. And so I found a company in Telford. This is where they were that would do it. And it was like they offered to do it for 1p a page. But that's way too much money for a room full of books that high. That would be fine if you had like 600 books. But if you had 6,000.
Yeah.
You know,
if they're big
like
books,
I said, could you do it for a quarter of a p? And they're like, who's going to work for 1/4 of 1 cent? And I'm like, look, in a 400-page book, that's like a quid.
There you go.
Right? And you know, like, no, that doesn't work. And I'm like, you know, I have the contract with the British Broadcasting Corporation to maintain every door at the BBC for 25p a door. And you can't scan 2 pages for a half a penny, right? And they hang up the phone on me. You know, I was not Grant Cardone. You
were name dropping BBC, man.
I was just trying to go native. I was trying to go native, and I thought a lot about this facilities management. The challenge, like you'd find these doors from Hungary, and the hinges would be made of like brass with like a nickel alloy. Like literally, they'd fall apart at any opportunity. They'd break. They'd like crumble in bad temperatures, and
we got back to doors.
Yeah, exactly. And
you really like doors.
You get into this, you know, and I had to go native on this thing. So I decided I'm going to accelerate my progress by becoming a comedian among the English. You know, because
accelerate the process of getting more doors.
Of learning how to go native.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Because I had to learn how to listen to English people.
Oh, right. Okay.
Have a conversation with them. Like this conversation, I feel like I am an American in this conversation. I'm dominating this conversation. You know,
well, you're supposed to. It's a podcast. I'm supposed to let you talk.
But in sales, as you know, I mean, I'm not talking. I'm like KD. Tell me about the doors.
Yeah. You're jumping in when you can.
Have you thought about when was the last time anyone looked at whether the hinges are on correctly? You know, is the door locking safely for you? You know, what happens?
What is the fascination with doors?
You know, because doors are something I sold for 3 years of my life. I'm like, I know everything there is to know about doors. You name it. I'm a service door master. You know, I quote all the legislation, BS 3228, and you know all these things. You know, I know, you name it.
BBC and doors.
Yeah, and it's very and I think a lot about that. Like maybe I should have moved to a place where I could just build a house in 36 hours.
That would be amazing.
That's what I should have done. I should have gone to that place where I could just be in a tent in my own thing. There wouldn't be any go native business. It would just be John Parman in a house in a hovel. You know, just being
house
there
that you built.
Yeah, and that's
MDF
because that's the thing in England. You've got to remember that once you're here, you're here, right? And there are all these things like you think of Iceland. Do you go to Iceland?
The country or the shop?
The shop.
Yes, and yes.
You do. Here's Iceland. You need the requirements of going to Iceland is you need a refrigerator or a freezer
Yes, you
to
do.
shop there.
You do.
You know, you think
Definitely a
have you heard of the
freezer.
Mediterranean diet?
No.
You know what this is? The Mediterranean diet is this idea that if you eat like olive oil and fresh fruit and fresh vegetables and pasta and seafood and a little bit of meat, you could live for a very long time.
Italians always say this, and then they got fucked in COVID.
You say that, right? Yeah, exactly. Now here's the thing. Here's, you know, if you go to a grocery store that you need to have something to store the food that you buy there, that's posh from day one.
What?
No, you think about it, right?
What?
A freezer. First, you need to. I have electricity.
Right.
I have a freezer.
Yes.
I can freeze food.
Yeah.
I can thaw it and eat it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like a man.
That's very posh.
Yeah,
You're
it's
not
posh.
like I'm buying food that must be eaten in the same day or within 2 days, or else it'll go bad.
Oh, yeah.
You know, which would happen if you lived in a house that you'd built in 36 hours. Or it had to stand for 36 hours, right? And so like I think of that a lot. Like Dudley, everyone shits on Dudley, but Dudley has 3 frozen food supermarkets in it. Okay, it has Heron, Iceland, and Farm Foods.
Yeah.
Okay, which is the king of frozen food stores.
Farm food.
If you are a frozen food aficionado, you know if you're getting that Farm Foods mailer you are a valued person. You know, you are in the top 15% of the entire world if you have that. Okay.
Oh yeah, the world. Yeah,
you can afford to own frozen food. You are like in the top 10% of all the people in the entire world.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, like
people in England don't realize how good we are.
Yeah, they don't realize how good it is. You know, and you know, I think a lot about that. Like,
well, actually, to be fair, lately it hasn't been that good. I
well,
won't lie.
You know,
the cost of the electric to run the freezer is ridiculous.
Absolutely, the cost of people don't really think about the cost, the opportunity cost of being posh, as you are with your frozen food.
I just couldn't guess that. Yeah.
I mean, you know, even I always find it funny. Like I go to this shop. I go to the company shop. I don't know. Have you been there? The company shop?
Yeah. We used to have one right here.
Thank you, company shop. You are one of the greatest shops in the world. I would love to be your spokesperson. If you want an American advertising your products,
there you go. Good chance.
You know, but even they sell frozen food.
Yeah.
Right? Like frozen food is posh to everybody.
Is it?
Yeah. Like
I've never known this outside of the UK that frozen food is considered posh.
I think it's very posh. You know, if you can afford
to
have food that you won't eat or can't or not going to eat right now.
Yeah.
That's posh.
And you can keep it going with electric.
Keep it going. Yeah. And that's my idea.
Would it be posh when you eventually have the same thing where you can keep a human going?
Yeah.
Is that going to be posh as well?
I don't know. I mean, cryogenics I think is very posh. You know, if you're on ice waiting for a cure, you're in posh territory. You know, whereas I do comedy. I bring 10 new minutes. I do the opposite of posh comedy. I'm not posh.
No, you're not. I've never once looked at you for posh.
Not at all. I don't bring, you know, stuff that I've kept in a freezer, you know, that 10 minutes and I'm going to thaw it out and give it to you. No, I'm not that person.
Oh, I'm glad you don't do that.
Fresh minutes of stuff. You know, a podcast that will never happen again. We'll meet up again. You'll be like, John, tell me about doors. I'm like, I told you all about doors. You'll have to listen to that podcast. This time, we're going to talk about evacuation chair engineering, which is another thing that I did. What? You know, we can do that on the next episode of In Your House.
Engineering.
Yeah, evacuation chairs. Does anyone have an evac chair in their home or office?
In your home? Wait, I assumed you mentioned like an airport.
Yeah, and anywhere that has evac chairs, I would service the evac chairs.
Oh, so we're not talking like,
you know, if you have evac chairs you need servicing, please feel free to call John Parman. I'm in the phone book. John Parman can service your evac chairs for maybe even £9.
Out of all of that, I think a phone book is the strangest thing you said.
Yeah, get a phone book. That's how old I am. You know,
I used to have a phone book.
I look very young. Actually, I wanted to do something, Katie. I've written some shirt ideas.
Shirt.
I want you to hear them. They could be the names. Are they the name of a band or the name of an album of a band?
Okay.
Schmoozing the Unfeeling.
So is that a name of a band or the name?
I wrote this down.
Right.
It could be. You just tell me. Is it the name of a band or is it the name of an album?
Okay.
Okay. Schmoozing the Unfeeling.
Album.
Structures are made out of people.
Album.
Transportation eludes us.
That could be a band.
Play until hot.
Band.
The Wigless.
Band.
There's a lot they don't tell you.
Album.
Not too damn masculine.
Album.
I'm just naturally handsome.
That just sounds on my diary now. Band.
Petite forklifts.
I've been with a few of them. You think that they're small, but they're round. They're fun. But band.
Two bad cats can't start fires.
I disagree with that. I was actually in a alleyway recently, and these two cats came, and I thought they were really good. And then they turned around and had an evil look on their face. They kicked me, and they started a fire.
Alien Picture.
True. Band though. Alien Picture. Band.
Yeah, I was watching the news, and they were talking about an illegal person, and they said this is the alien's picture. Vegan funeral.
Vegan funeral. We're gonna have a lot of them eventually. You're gonna find out that tofu causes some form of cancer, or all that stuff. But band.
School of the Childless.
It's on the outskirts of Chernobyl.
City life is moving bodies.
City life is moving bodies. I'd say band, and also some form of mafia, dark black market thing.
Yeah, right. Happy to have helped a mother raise two men.
That's got to be an album, and that's great.
For allowing you to go back with his daughter.
Is that a continuation?
Offset personality.
That sounds like most comedians that you meet. We are a weird bunch, and that sounds like a band.
Just eggplant.
We're back to vegans dying again. And it's going to be an album, and also a sexy album at that.
International Committee of the Red Rectangle. Because they have the Red Cross.
Right.
Why not a rectangle?
Why not?
The red crescent, red rectangle.
I think red rectangle. I used to think Chinese flag. So
yeah, you know when things go pear shaped?
Yeah,
there's never a committee about that.
There is not.
Yeah,
they should make one.
Absolutely.
I prefer circular.
Circular.
Personally, I'm not a fan of straight corners.
Different pain.
Different pain. Well, that's ironically why I'm not a fan of straight corners, because they cause different kinds of pain when you run into them.
Yeah,
I'm not a fan of sharp things.
Of edges. No. Yeah, she's a woman.
Well, that's a whole nother debate.
Bring pleasure.
What is a woman?
I'm a burrito too.
Okay, you can claim to be a woman. You can claim to be a burrito. Why not? I am with you. Whatever you want to do. What is the word? I support all.
The list is long.
Yeah, exactly. The list of things you can do is long. And band. Tim. Band. That's a great band. If that's not a band, I would be shocked.
Yeah. National Day of Silence, which is a real thing in America. We have a National Day of Silence.
Really?
It's the day for to remember all the gay people who have died. The reality is lots of people have died, and maybe the only way to mourn them is silence. And I certainly find that in my own life.
I mean, I don't know what to tell you, but people die though.
Bored Witness.
Bored Witness. That's a band.
Not so bunchy.
Not so bunchy. That is a band, and also a abuser's way of explaining abuse.
Diet of Japan.
That would be dust. And band.
Observe Moon.
Album. And really bad one at that.
Polished Concrete Slides.
Punk
this
album.
Is the one thing. That's the one memory of my childhood that I feel like really encapsulates America. Did you have any polished concrete slides growing up?
What's a
so this is the thing. Yeah,
I don't even know what that is.
This is the thing that I feel like Americans had for a period of time and then they went away. And there are slides that are made out of concrete that have been polished.
Like it didn't slide,
So
you
they're
slide down.
like, yeah, slide,
Oh,
you slide
okay,
down,
okay.
but they've been polished. It's like sliding down like a really, really, really smooth surface,
Right.
and it's just so fun.
Just kind of like
They
like
had one in
thingies
they
then.
had one in Berkeley at Martin Luther King Junior Park. They had this it was a small park. It was only a junior park,
Right.
and they had this. Just no, look up concrete,
Yeah, just concrete slides.
polished concrete slides.
Okay.
I don't know how to explain it. Like, they were so great. They had, yes,
Oh,
that
there you
is a
go.
polished concrete slide. They're so fun.
Okay.
They polished them. You don't need any cardboard. You just go down. And then a kid went down and he really, really injured himself very badly because he was an adult. Okay. He was like a young adult. He was too big for the slide. He didn't practice precautions. He literally, they sued the city for damages, and they removed the slide and replaced them with planters. And it was
Planters.
the greatest tragedy of my life.
I
Until
mean,
that
like,
point, was the loss of
flowers.
the slide. Yeah. And they kept another slide. To their credit, Berkeley kept another slide at Cordonices Park in Berkeley. You can look up COD ERNICES Park. There it is, Cement Slide Heaven.
Oh wow,
at,
okay.
At Cordonices Park. That's in my hometown. There it is. That's the cement slide. Let's look at it.
Oh damn.
There it is.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's great. As you can see, one of the greatest slides,
That's
but
so cool.
not polished. Okay, you
need
need
pretty hard to
cardboard.
do it anyways.
You need cardboard to do it. You have to bring your own cardboard. They don't have cardboard waiting for you, which is hard. I mean, I don't know how hard it is for you to get cardboard, but it can be an ordeal.
I've always got cardboard personally, man.
Right.
Because of the mother, man. They bring so many boxes of things in.
Yeah.
I'm constantly giving it.
There are not many places in this country where they knowingly want people to go down big slides.
Well, we have inflatable parks.
Slides, yes. Yeah, they're like a
Big
treat.
parks, so
You have a
yeah.
treat.
They're big
Like,
parks
okay, we're
where
gonna
they're
have
inflatable.
Yeah, they're going to have it's a treat to go down a slide, but you must be this small to ride.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
Like they have a height limit. There's no height limit on a public parks.
No.
There's no, unfortunately. Obviously, we lost one slide.
Yeah.
And I decided, okay, if I'm going to go native in the future, I want to create a polished concrete slide.
Okay.
That's my future. I've done doors. I do comedy. In the future, I will slide. I will slide, people. And we're going to catch up on that. KD, this has been such a pleasure. I got to cut this short because we've been on the air for almost an hour and a half. But let me just say, I would do this again. You're an absolutely amazing host.
Yeah, man.
Thank you so much.
It's absolutely
And
fine.
if this is aired before the 2nd of November,
It will be.
you will see.
It's going to be a good
Katie
night.
Hinken, 7 p.m. at the Hollybush in Cradley Heath, B645EA. This is 53 Newtown Lane.
Cradley Heath.
One of the best comedy clubs. If you're new, come on a Thursday night. Talk to David Francis.
Yeah,
He will make you a star.
He makes out, as he says, that he'll have anyone, but what it actually is he's just nice. He'll let
He's
anyone
a lovely
have a
man.
go. He's a lovely dude. Yeah,
And,
very supportive to comics.
you're gonna have a great time at the variety night. We've got singers, poets, and comedians.
You're going to be doing stuff where you hosting like the later bit.
I'm the compere for the evening.
Okay, I see. Okay.
I'm gonna do some funny stuff, but it'll be the best of me, not 10 new minutes. But if you want to see 10 new minutes on a Thursday night and just think, oh, this is a person, then by all means. I'm usually the last act because nobody can follow me. I'm unfollowable.
Of course. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
That's
So,
definitely it.
I've been John Parman.
You're not the only one willing to stay that
this
late.
is Carl Hinken, and thank you so much.
Just in my podcast.
You can do the outro then.
No, go ahead, man. I like it. It's cool. We're chilling. I
Yes.
don't have to do anything. Go ahead.
Yes. Well,
You know, the
Katie, if you
KD
could
comedy
if
stuff.
you
You
could do
can
me a
check
favor.
out KD comedy. On all
I
the
don't have.
different
I'm not on
things.
social media. I do not have a
Oh,
video
really?
page because I do not want to be famous. I like being where I am. I'm very. I have a nice,
You should
fun
be doing
job.
stuff on the internet.
If I became famous, I probably wouldn't be able to do the work that I do. And what I do is I raise money for a living.
Right.
I've managed to change from sales. I could do sales as famous as I wanted to be. I could be that guy who, hey, I've got the show and we're going to be talking to somebody about blue blockers. And I hate those. I hate doing, when I hate, infomercials and all this stuff. I don't want to be this person who's on TV shilling for something. Right. Like if I want to sell, I want to be like, hey, it's John. And I want to talk to you about, who's flushing your toilets, you know what I mean? Or who's running your sinks in your vacant buildings.
Yeah.
We can fight Legionella together. I want to be that person, or like, hey, have you been buying window hinges? I can do that. That's the tough job.
Yeah.
Like, who's petting your cat?
That's a hard job.
That's a hard job, right? I could be the person who pets cats and or like distributes cheese. All those things that John Parman can do. But I don't want to be. I've met all these people. I have worked with people who just like they just shill. That's all they do is shill.
Yeah.
And it's not sales. They're not selling. They're like, hey, aren't blue blockers a really great way to like?
They're selling
like,
crap.
Stop.
But
They're selling crap. They're selling crap to people who are like, paying a lot of money. They think they're getting this legitimate, amazing experience, and they're not. It's just snake oil.
Which is why we don't charge people.
Which is why I do spell casting. I do as a witch. And it's.
Are you being serious about that part?
A lot of work to be a witch.
Are you being serious about that part? You're a witch.
When you go and you
what does that mean?
When you get into witchcraft and you create magic, then anything is possible. And like we're creating magic here today. He just thought he was here to do a podcast, and we've managed to move into a journey of how an American went from Berkeley, California to Dudley, England, and managed to survive for 14 years.
That is a thing.
I'm not dead.
You're not dead,
right? I mean, hooray! Right?
You got a weird fascination with doors. You haven't come out completely unscathed.
I haven't needed any major surgery. And I know that I've made the right decision because I've lost weight, which is very hard for Americans. We're very bad at losing anything. You're
not in America.
We've only lost, we've lost many wars lately. Thank goodness. We finally lost something we can get to terms with losing. It took 50 years, but we've done it. We've done it.
Hopefully we don't lose any more.
They didn't need, we didn't need a Granada.
Before we go though, you're on about a good story that's probably missed a lot of people before. Do you know what's currently anchored on the coast of Kent right now? It's a good story to see if you know.
Let me see. Anchored up. Is there a bunch of aircraft carriers or something?
Nah. Well, I don't know. Might be. I don't know.
Or a disabled Russian ship.
That's the one.
Some kind of explosive fertilizer ingredient.
That's the one. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. No, I know all about that. I'm highly informed about fertilizer ingredients. This is the thing. When I was in Washington, D.C., my friends constantly tried to get me into the barge industry. They were like, John, maritime shipping is where it is at. That is the place to be. I mean, you could be interviewing me right now in an alternative reality, and I have like a flagged shipping company, Parman, right? With like, I don't know what, maybe a seagull
on the logo. You could go with that.
What would be on my flag if I were
on
a
your
shipping
flag?
Company? Because
dark colors.
Me and my friend Charles and several other people would just share like boat for sale ads with each other for a number of years. And this quest that other people, I was just supporting it. I was like a person who was able to enabling other people. But first it was a tugboat, and then it was a barge, and then we were going to get a packet.
I could have helped you.
A packet barge. These things to carry down the Erie Canal and up through New York State. And down the Hudson River, and then oh no,
you see on Batman
open water shipping. We should do maritime shipping. And who's going to be the captain of the boat? I met a taxi driver in Washington, D.C. who'd trained to be a ship's captain, but he'd failed the test, so he became a taxi driver.
Oh.
And I
kind of the same thing,
right? Exactly. I thought, hey, this guy has some potential here.
He failed it though.
Yeah, I mean, he's halfway there. He's failed the test.
He's halfway there. Yeah, he wants it at least.
Yeah, he wants it. I think.
Yeah,
he's that's why he's become a taxi driver. He said, if I can't be a ship's captain, I'll find a really low job.
Yeah.
So he's definitely still in the process. And So, so if they need a pilot or a captain or someone to
it's not called a pilot.
rescue so the pilot is someone who navigates a ship through a rough area.
Okay, I see.
Okay?
I see.
And they're
So you need one of
usually
them.
employed by a harbor or employed by like a local maritime authority.
Mhm.
And the if they need that ship serviced, I'm sure I could find a capable engineer who can do the job.
Oh, that shit.
I don't know who we're
know
going to
about
send
that.
the boat to, the bill to. I don't know who's going to pay to have that ship serviced.
Oh,
but
it might blow up before you do it. I personally
think they need to just go to the boat.
That would be a good start.
Unload the boat.
That's a good start.
And then give the fertilizer ingredients away to ordinary people.
Or just hand out poo.
What will they do with those ingredients themselves is up to them.
Yeah, everybody wants some poo.
Yeah.
They'll go for it.
Yeah. Everyone needs silage. This is what I always say. The more silage, the better.
Silage.
We are.
Sewage.
No, silage is sewage.
Okay.
Okay, like it's poo.
More silage. Okay,
Silage.
I'm with you.
That's what they call it. That's the engineering service term.
Right.
Poo,
We're talking the technical term now.
I'm being technical here. I apologize.
It's knowledgeable people do. It's what you do.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't talk about something and then it's like,
talk to a farmer about, he'll say shit, but he'll say silage too. Because they have silage machines.
Yeah. They love that
silage
shit.
tanks.
Yeah.
They have stages before you can put the silage into the tank.
I've watched Jeremy Clarkson.
Yeah, exactly. But there are better shows about farmers than Jeremy Clarkson. Clarkson he's an amateur, okay? He's not a farmer. He's a rich man who owns a farm.
I'll agree with you.
Caleb is the man.
Caleb's the man.
Caleb's the man. Exactly.
You do kind of look like you could be Caleb's dad.
I probably could be.
You could be.
I love machinery. I love tools. I love engineering. I can't.
You look blonde.
I have terrible eyesight.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, I've got 2 hammers.
Oh yeah,
right?
that's no good. Can you see far though?
Yeah, and I'm like, so I have to adjust my vision on a regular basis.
Can you
I
see
can pass a driving test. I can see a license. I can see a number plate 20 feet away. That's good.
Right. Okay.
But I'm like, whoa, there are 2 of these, or 2 of those, or 2 of those, and so the yeah. So I'm like I'm the booker. I moved from booking celebrities to booking engineers, and that helped me figure out how to live in England.
Yeah.
And now I'm here 15 years. I'm happy. I could be deported at any time.
I hope that doesn't happen.
Heartless government you have, and these civil servants.
You got them right
to send me home, and I'm going to stay.
Is that what Labour tried to do?
Well, like I remember one time I worked with this guy, and he did the application for me.
To be deported.
I paid money to get a new visa, and they sent me a letter on the plainest paper, like the worst newsprint paper. They sent me this thing, and it was
it's a good paper on somebody.
You did your application wrong. You have 72 hours to put a new application, or you'll be deported immediately.
Oh shit!
And I called the guy, and I'm like, I just got this letter, and he goes, well, what do you want me to do? And so me and my girlfriend at the time, we did the thing in rush order.
Was it a long thing, I'm guessing?
Oh yeah, it was like maybe 80 pages long.
Damn, yeah.
And, a huge amount of work. Plus
I've seen some of them, so
plus the fee. I had to borrow money to do it, and then I
remember how much it was.
It was like 600 quid.
Oof.
And I'd already paid this guy quite a lot of money to do the thing for me.
Oh yeah.
He had all these testimonials and everything. And
he
was like,
well, put a bad review on his.
I got the money now. I should have firebombed him.
Yeah, should have done. Well, I mean, virtually
gradually firebombed him over several months. Firebombed him. Like just a little bit of fertilizer at a time,
I see. Okay,
and then gradually firebombed.
That would be a better way to do it.
But anyway, here I am.
Wear gloves.
And I chose nonviolence.
Well, I would argue that fertilizer is non-violent.
I chose to be the they say be the bigger man.
Yeah,
they always tell the victim to be the bigger man.
What if they're a little person?
It's always the victim who has to be the bigger man.
Yeah.
The thief, the con artist, the bully, they're never the bigger man. Right?
Physically, sometimes they might.
They are, yes, physically bigger, but
a lot of the time
emotionally bigger. To deal with it.
No.
Right? And
people are not emotionally mature. We see a lot of it.
I hate that I have to be a victim in order to be a bigger man. And
yeah. You can
I
not
think
be.
my decision to not be a victim is why I'm not bigger as a comedian.
Well,
You know.
oh, I
So,
see what.
yeah, like if you're a victim of something, then you're going to be very successful.
I don't know about that.
And so if you plan to be famous, stress your victimhood. Okay, be more of a victim than you ever have been in your life.
I don't think
Like-
that's the way to
like,
go.
do
Down.
not-
I am not endorsing this.
Do not be anything else than a victim.
This is not endorsed
Okay?
by Katie Comedy.
Yeah, there are lots
This
of
is
things. If you need
just
to be
John Parman
victimized,
endorsed.
plenty of people who will victimize you. Okay?
That's true.
Be victimized, and then you're gonna be on Channel 4 before you know it. You're gonna be live at the Apollo. Hey, we found an amazing victim here. Wait until you hear his testimony. And when the testimony, you won't hear any reason why they're a victim. You'll hear pure comedy gold.
I'm sure.
Yeah,
I'm
so,
sure.
You know, because you hear these victim comedians, and they are extremely funny.
Who
you know,
can we just? I know everybody would know
is a
who we're on
victim
about, but let's
comic?
just
Who
list
is a
some
victim comic. Let's see.
because I obviously understand exactly what we're talking about here.
You know, when you think of somebody like they, like they've their car got scratched at the grocery store,
Or a bitching
or
about
they've
it.
been, yeah. I mean, you know, or they
Oh,
they had to-
okay.
they had the tickets, and then all the tickets started selling out, and the price of the ticket went up.
Oh,
right. Like I've been victimized by this horrible system that, you know, I didn't plan for.
right.
Or they wanted to go to Malaga, and then they got to Malaga, and the apartment that they found on or their hotel room that they found that could accommodate everybody in one suite was on the same floor and faced the swimming pool and had a window, and so like everybody in the swimming pool could look in and you could look out. Right, you were a victim of that
Oh,
situation.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I've seen, like, these are all things that other people have gotten on stage and told me about for 10 minutes.
So what they've got on stage happened
Like,
to them. They're
poor
bitching.
me for having a hotel room that I could literally walk out into the pool, and I could have closed my blinds and
Yeah.
never had any of the situation that I did. But I suffered through, like, having to wear a robe in my room
Oh no.
because people could see in.
How?
They wanted the view of this pool. You know, I'm like, yeah, but weren't you
What
watching?
they wanted to view
Weren't
you?
you watching them? Like, aren't you the people watcher here?
Yes, true.
Like,
They are
and if
watching
you're
also.
inviting them to see you, then you're an exhibitionist, right? Like, they never think of that. They're the victim.
I'll
No,
tell-
you're not. You are the credible threats.
me and
okay?
Max were totally
You know, like
exhibitionists.
I'm sure you've, like, you know, like you see people do weird stuff, like people who pick their nose in public. I always think of this: people who pick their nose in public. Right? Like, some people legitimately have a reason to pick their nose. Something is in there. They need to get rid of the
Oh,
obstruction.
whether there's a reason or not, I don't know if you should do it in public.
Right. No,
I'm a
obviously
bit
not.
polite like
Yeah.
that.
People who are picking their nose in public are doing it to invite attention.
Yeah.
You know, they want people to see they know how to pick their nose.
Some are just, you know, like
Yeah, like, you
in
know,
their own world,
yeah.
man. I have respect for those people
Yeah.
that are so in their own world
Mhm.
and give so little shit about everyone
Completely.
around them that they will do that.
Completely.
I have a lot of respect for them.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I literally, like, I remember the first kind of experiences I had with a whole bunch of English people.
Right.
Was I went to a meditation retreat. I went to this place for 10 days.
To me, that's such a random
looking
thing to
anyone
do
in
with
the
English
eye.
people for the
There was-
first time.
There was no looking anyone in the eye and no talking for 10 days. You weren't allowed to read. It was just meditation, food, pooping, and you know,
That sounds terrible,
sleeping.
man.
And you'd wake you up at 3 a.m. and you'd go and you'd meditate for 4 hours, and then you'd have breakfast.
Ugh.
It was all you can eat. And then you'd like go and, like, you know,
Well,
wash
eat
your
yourself to
hands
sleep.
and poop, and then go back and sit cross-legged until your legs are numb. And there was this one guy there, and he would bite his lip. All
Right, okay.
right? And
You're still hungry.
I would always see this guy, and in my head, I'm like, well, he must be going through some real trauma. Like, this must be his first time, and he's just, you know, working through his stuff,
Right.
you know. And because all the meditation is all about, like, you're schooling yourself about how to just be still, and you're letting you've got all these thoughts going through your head. Like, I'm like the personification of the thinking people do in their own brain. They're like, who maintains that door? Who maintains that door that I went through? What happens if that door breaks? Who am I going to call? Right?
I don't know if that many people think about doors that much in their head.
If you go to the airport and the door doesn't work and you feel, what? I can't go through this door, and you have to walk 40 feet.
Then you'll think about it.
That's inconvenience, right?
Yeah.
How come nobody's here to maintain this door? Right? I'm the voice in your head. I am that voice. And I'm just externalizing that voice. Usually you have it, you don't think of it. It's me. I'm that voice. And the spells I sell take it away. After that, no voice, right? And you get this voice anyway. And then when you think of this service thing with victimization, like people want they have to service their victimization.
Yeah.
So they go on stage again. You know, can you believe I went to a service station and they had something that's inconveniencing them. So this inconvenience, like I saw this one comedian and he was talking about how he had to wait for the toilet at McDonald's. He really, really had to go to the bathroom. He really had to pee. And he decided to tell somebody about going to the bathroom. And the guy was like, well, why don't you buy a bottle of water and go in your car and you can pee into the bottle?
True.
Right?
Would you go outside and wee like most people?
Dude, I have a nice car. I don't have a car that I can go and pee in.
I don't want to people.
And have right. I've peed in many cars.
Yeah.
I'm like, because I'm the voice in your head. I'm the voice in your head. You're like, I could pee in this car. And the car doesn't belong to me, but I could pee in it. And I think the more that you stress that idea of the you'll win an Oscar, an Emmy. I refuse to be the victim. I'm not that person. I do not need to be the victim. I'm not the bully either. I'm not like aiming to be a certain person. I'm trying to be nobody. I'm just going to be.
And by hosting a comedy show, that's how you do it.
My project is 10 new minutes, and then once a month, series of few minutes where it kind of makes sense, right? And I do it because I raise money I love raising money. I raise money for charitable causes for a living.
Oh, that's
I'm not
cool.
out here like, I'm not saying like, guys, I'm doing this special event and you need to come in. Like there's a guy who
is it a different crowd unlike them.
No, it's like
no.
They go and they do charity nights for things, right? They do charity events.
Oh, okay.
So you have that. You have people who are running a marathon.
Yeah.
You have people who are like, I'm not eating for 24 hours for charity.
I did the Welsh Three Peaks in 24 hours.
3 Peaks, exactly. All these things, right? I do not do that. I am not about events. I've never walked more than like 2,500 feet.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. Because I'm the voice in your head. I don't walk. I'm carried. And the right. And so you have all these different things. Like the best I would do like I wanted to create this thing, the ex-smokers marathon.
That's cool.
Okay, this marathon for people who I don't know if I can be bothered to. I don't want to tell any story.
Can you have current smokers as well, right? That'd be cool.
The whole learning to run a marathon thing is its own ordeal.
Yeah,
you have to get through all these shin splints. You realize your ACL is not loose in any way. All these things, all these stuff happen. Most people who learn to run a marathon never run a marathon again. And you think of learning to do 10 minutes of comedy. They're working on this 10 minutes. I'm going to master this 10 minutes. I'm going to master. Okay, well, if I have mastered 10 minutes, I can definitely master an hour. They write an hour.
Yeah.
No, they don't. They write an hour, and it's like, oh my God, why are you doing this to yourself? Why are you subjecting yourself?
Yeah. I know a lot of people that went straight to like long things.
I'm going to do 10 new minutes. Every month I have 40 minutes of crap. Okay, just absolute garbage.
Yeah.
And then every year, I've got over 5 hours of crap. I have hours and hours of crap. I recently printed
you do a lot of vamping.
Yeah, I printed off my comedy since 2020, 121 pages of garbage, absolute garbage. And
you used to print it off.
I'm doing this now on stage. I'm doing the best of 3 years of John Parman on stage now, where in 10 minutes, I go through 121 pages of material, and people have no idea how I have like gotten to the point where people spontaneously get up and cheer when I come into the room. They're like, USA. They can't believe it. They've seen this incredible non-victim, just doing stuff.
What?
Right? I'm not a victim. I'm not famous. Nobody knows who I am.
Yeah.
Right? They're like, but they're like, oh yeah, and there was this guy and that guy and that guy and that guy and this American guy who, John Parman, and they're and oh yeah, you got to watch out for John Parman because he has absolutely nothing to say. He's got him not memorable, nothing about him. I might have laughed, but I don't remember why I laughed. If I tell him that I did laugh,
I'll get rid of that too.
And he might ask, he asked, he has the temerity to ask me what I laughed about. Like, can you believe, like, I would watch him do comedy, I would laugh, and then he would ask me what I thought was funny.
Oh no!
Right?
That's horrendous.
I mean, yeah, and then they do a show about that because they're funny. They're a victim.
Oh yeah.
So
that happened.
You think? Yeah,
that happened.
Yeah, absolutely. It might have happened, but who knows? Or it's just the voice in your head.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But there is a spell for that. We'll do that next episode. We'll do some spells, and might need a bigger place because I do a lot of moving when I'm spellcasting.
Oh, and you do spells.
So
I've got
we can start a spell now. You just repeat after me. Mecca hi, Mecca Heidi hey.
Wait, what's the spell for?
Mecca hi, Mecca Heidi hey.
I ain't gonna do no spell until I know what it's for.
Mecca hi, Mecca Heidi hey.
Mecca no. Mecca Heidi hey.
Mecca hi, Mecca Heidi hey.
Oh God, Mecca hi, Mecca Heidi hey.
It's gonna make the podcast end.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but no, we've been on now. Wow, I can't believe almost 3 hours. So we'll call it there, I think.
Yeah, because I feel so goddamn confused right now.
But yeah, we'll work on it next time. Thank you very much, Katie.
More than welcome back.
It's been a lot of fun.
And
I don't know if I'm ever going to have time to watch this whole thing, but if I do, I will be a victim.
Oh yeah, I never watched the whole thing.
Yeah.
Variety show. The 2nd of November at the Hollybush. Catch us both there from 7
Newtown
p.m.
Lane, B645EA. His birthday. Not mine. Or I thought it was your birthday.
No.
Okay, well, not his birthday, but bring a gift anyway. Bring a present.
Yeah. I mean,
it's always nice to get something, and you could be that person who gives.
Yeah. Just been Halloween. Give us chocolate.
Yeah, happy Halloween. It's the Day of the Dead. So bring
that's
something.
The day before.
Oh, right. It's the day after, right? The day after the Day of the Dead. So just think like, what do dead people need after they die? That's
true, actually. Yeah. Dust, mainly.
What do morning people need? So that's chocolate.
Or an energy drink or coffee for you in the morning.
I like squishies too.
A morning with a U. Okay, yeah, that.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, KD Comedy, you can check it out on all the pages. Go on YouTube. You got it on Rumble, on Twitch, and you got it on Spotify. Apple, anywhere you get your actual podcast from, you can find it on there. KD Comedy Podcasts. We got this. We got more Squishy Logic with Nathan coming out. More 2Ps on a podcast with myself and the Evil Hippie. So you can catch many of things and catch myself on stage. Hopefully, anywhere they will let me go on. Anything else you want to plug, sir?
No, I have nothing else because I know you're not gonna. If you want to find John Parman, you'll have to look closely.
Yeah,
look closely.
Do that.
Yeah,
but
I blend in. I'm like literally, if I had more gray,
that's true.
I
actually,
would be in the couch.
Yeah. It's the first time Santa Claus was able to blend in like this.
I am playing Santa Claus at in Wolverhampton on the 7th of December. You'll have to try and figure out where I'll be. But Santa will be around.
Where you'll be. I'm going to assume. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I'm going to assume you're in some kind of grotto.
I'll be in a grotto. You just have to. The treasure hunt begins 7th of December at midnight. But I won't be there for several hours. You're gonna. If you need to.
What is
Santa,
this now?
I'll be there 7th of December in Wolverhampton. You can ask around. Where's Santa? Maybe someone will know. And if you find me, then I'll ask you, what do you want for Christmas?
Oh, this sounds a bit either kinky or illegal right now. I'm not too sure.
Well, I don't know.
It sounds like it might be predatory.
It's the cheapest opportunity to see Santa legally in the United Kingdom. That's what I offer children and young people. If you've been telling people to avoid strangers, do not bring them to me. Okay? Because I'm like, Santa is very scary to kids who fear strangers.
It's true.
Okay?
True.
They're not Christians, because, you're told, welcome strangers. Be hospitable. Okay? If you're telling kids, be aware of be wary of them, run away from strangers, you're not no hospitality there.
Just do like the extremist Muslim way and just shoot them all.
Yeah. Like everyone talks about Halloween as the stranger thing. You've been
Halloween.
Telling everybody, don't approach strangers, don't approach people you don't know, then you go knock on their door and ask for candy.
That's very
Santa is the ultimate stranger.
That's very true,
Yeah, exactly. So just
Yeah, I used to let some old man come into my house and empty his sack all the time with my children.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. One thing. I used to be Santa for a group of Bosnian families in Dublin. They'd go and do Christmas, and they were like, "Oh, this guy again?"
Well, they don't do Christmas.
No, of course they do Christmas.
We said they don't do Christmas.
Santa is everywhere in every country.
Oh, just man. We used to have a
Saudi
green.
Arabia, they have Santa Claus.
It used to be green. The coat.
Green. He wore green.
I feel like you definitely know why.
I look amazing in green. Thank you.
Can you imagine?
But I might just be a voice in your head.
You might just be a voice in my head.
Yeah. So
okay. We've ended this 3 times now.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Peace out, people.